Can't think of anything that rhymes with Hernandez, but I don't care. I cannot tell you how impressed I am, how bad you must be at your job, that you somehow managed to unite.
You must chill.
No.
You must chill.
Absolutely not. No.
Chill.
Lonzo, you let me have my time in the sun, son. You let me just bask in the new era of professional baseball.
I mean, I get all that. Could you stop? You're like screaming, dude. I mean, I get you're excited about it.
Goodbye, Angel. Don't let the door hit you where the good load split you. Hasta luego, muchacho. See you never. Enjoy Cancun, bro. Tell LeBron we said hi.
You guys will find something else to whine about.
Sure thing.
Because the baseball guys always find an enemy.
I don't need to find anything. I can tell you what it is. It's CB Buckner. You're next. I've been doing that one in a while. Break out a little Goldberg circa 1997 on you. Angel Hernandez was, and I was trying to think of like a poetic way to put this, and here's what which is hilarious because it's true. Angel Hernandez did not just say, I'm sick of all you jerks out there dragging me through the mud. I'm sick of all of y'all being a bunch of rude people to me. No. What Angel Hernandez said was, hey, MLB, I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm not just leaving, so you're going to have to give me something. And MLB said, yeah, bro, we will pay your ass to go away. We will pay you to not be here anymore. And that's exactly what happened. MLB and the worst person in America at their job, Angel Hernandez, have reached a settlement for Angel Hernandez to step away from the game of baseball. And how bad at his job was Angel Hernandez? Angel Hernandez was so bad at his job that Cubs fans and Cardinals fans celebrated together. So bad at his job that Angels fans and Dodgers fans celebrated together. Was so bad at his job that Yankees fans and Red Sox fans yesterday, for one glorious evening, they put their differences aside. I, as a Braves fan, put my differences with Dodgers fans aside for just a few minutes, and we all joined hands and sang to the baseball gods. Kumbaya, baseball gods, Angels gone. And what else can I say?
America. Came
together in a moment, at a point in history where our country is polarized. We got the left and the right. We got the Drake fans and the Kendrick Lamar fans. We got the people who believe pineapple goes on pizza and the people who think it absolutely does not. Lonzo and I both team pineapple on pizza, by the way. But you got the most polarized this country has been since the 1860s. And yet, for one glorious moment last night, for one bright, shining moment, we could just all hear Luther Vandross singing faintly in the background as baseball fans around America said to each other, our long national nightmare is over. The guy that is worse at his job than anyone else in this country is at their job is gone with a capital G. Hi, Lonzo. Happy Monday, kinda.
It's not Monday. It's Tuesday. But what Luther song is playing? I mean, is there a specific one?
That one shining moment when Angel is gone.
Okay. All right.
That one shining moment, his career is done. Yes. Bang. Dude, I do not revel in people losing their job. I don't. Except when you're real bad at it, okay? Except when you are so bad at your job that you consistently and routinely ruin things for other people. Then I have a problem with it. And I don't care what your job is. I don't care what you do. I don't care if it's in sports. I don't care if it's in government. I don't care if it's in any sort of authority position. I don't care if you're a garbage man. If you are so bad at your job that you have a negative impact on other people's lives, as fans, as players, as managers, as spectators, as haters, if you are so bad at your job that you make other people's life unnecessarily more difficult, then you gotta go. I played a clip for Lonzo a few weeks ago. In fact, I'm not even going to play it. I'm just going to bring it up, and Lonzo's going to remember. A great one. I played a clip for you from 2001 at a Chicago Cubs baseball game. I can tell you exactly when it was, August 7, 2001. The Colorado Rockies were visiting the Chicago Cubs at Wrigleyville. Angel Hernandez was the umpire behind the dish, and up in the press box for the 7th inning stretch. You know, when the Cubs fans get up and they sing a little "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and a 1 and a 2. Up there was a young cat, a legend in the world of professional wrestling, and also played a little football on the side, a cat by the name of Steve Mongo McMichael.
Former Four Horsemen.
Whoa! And my man Steve Mongo McMichael got up there and he grabbed the mic. Whoa! And he said to the Cubs fans gathered in Wrigleyville, "Don't worry, Cubs fans, I am going to have a friendly little chat with that behind-the-plate umpire when this thing is over." That behind-the-plate umpire, as mentioned, was Angel Hernandez. And when he said that, I don't know how many people were in Wrigley Field that day. I'm going to guess somewhere in the tune of 22,000 plus. Lost their minds. Yay. Angel's going to catch a beat down because he's that bad at his job. That was 21 years ago. If there was a Cubs couple that left that game and they went home and they did the old bow chicka bow wow that evening, and let's just say hypothetically maybe conceived a child, that child would be old enough to drink right now. That's how long Angel Hernandez has been plaguing. You can do it. They probably did. Has been plaguing Major League Baseball long enough for Steve Mongo McMichael, who's very dead now, by the way, to just shred. I think he is. He is, right? I think he passed a few years ago, didn't he?
No, he's really sick.
I thought he would.
No,
I thought he passed.
I don't think he has. No, I don't. I think he's been very ill in the last few months.
McMichael. I could be wrong, and I hope I am. Steve Mongo McMichael should have. No, you're right. He's still alive. Sorry, Steve. Sorry, Mongo. Please don't hurt me, which he probably still could. Let's be real. Point is, 21 years ago, long enough ago that a kid conceived that night could legally drink today. 21 years ago, Angel Hernandez sucked so bad at his job that Stephen Douglas McMichael, a.k.a. Mongo, a.k.a. Ming the Merciless, threatened to beat him raw in a parking lot after the game for being bad at his job. They, by the way, I didn't learn this until last night when I was filling in on BetMGM tonight, and we went to a break, and our lovely producer team, who is in Chicago, said, "Rob Brown, I don't know if you've heard this story. They kicked Steve McMichael out of that game. They ejected him. Angel Hernandez ejected him from that game for his comments about the behind-the-plate umpire. And as he left the stadium, he got a standing ovation from Cubs fans, as he should have. He's Steve freaking McMichael."
That sounds like a work, Rob.
I mean, I have no reason to disbelieve it.
Okay. All right.
None at all. In fact, even if it's true, I elect to believe that it's not. I elect to believe in my world that if you bleep talk Angel Hernandez, you are celebrated as an American hero, because you are. How bad do you have to be at your job that Rob Brown, and this is true, the nicest person on planet Earth, I just am. I should win trophies for it. The nicest person on planet Earth opens a two-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year show celebrating. I'm not talking Boston, Indiana. We will. I'm not talking Greg Sankey's comments at the SEC spring meetings down in Destin. I will. I'm not talking about the bombs Pete Thamel was throwing around yesterday on the Friday on the Pat McAfee show. I will. I'm not talking about Clemson hosting another regional, although they have lost 5 in a row at home and they catch Vanderbilt one more time again. I will. I'm not talking about South Carolina getting to the semifinals of the Southeastern Conference tournament and beating some good teams in the road before being eliminated by LSU and making the Raleigh regional to go up and visit NC State. I will. I didn't open with all of those sports stories. I open, as I do every day, with what I think is the biggest story in sports in the day. And it's Angel Hernandez, man. Hasta luego, muchacho. Let me tell you how bad Angel Hernandez was at his job. Why? Because it's my damn show and I want to. Okay? Here's how bad Angel Hernandez was at his job. A number of years ago, Angel Hernandez sued Major League Baseball. Any of you remember why? Don't worry, I'll tell you. It is because for a lot of years in a row, Angel Hernandez was never selected to umpire a World Series. And it bothered Angel Hernandez a little bit because he thought, I've earned it, by golly gee willikers, which is how Angel Hernandez talks in my head. He thought he had earned an opportunity to go to the World Series. And Joe Torre, who at the time was in charge of selecting the crews that would go to the World Series, Joe Torre said, no, absolutely not. You're not going. So Angel Hernandez sued Major League Baseball. And he claimed racial discrimination. That's what kept him out of the World Series. It was because Major League Baseball, a sport which has for many, many years celebrated its racial diversity in the game, as it should. It is now America's pastime, but the world's game. Angel Hernandez said they have racially discriminated against me and will not give me a World Series. And Major League Baseball had to go to court to defend itself from that allegation. And you may or may not remember this. Don't worry, I do. Major League Baseball went in front of a federal court and straight up said it's not because of any sort of racial discrimination that he's not working the World Series. The reason that Angel Hernandez is not working the World Series is because he is bad at his job. It's because he's a bad umpire. Joe Torre entered a written statement into a federal court that said we have given him many opportunities to umpire. And he has, and this is a direct quote, I don't know why I remember these words specifically, but a direct quote is, he has not risen to the occasion, end quote, to prove that he deserves the opportunity to referee baseball's biggest series on planet freaking Earth. He hasn't earned it because he's not good at his job. Now, I frequently get told that I'm not good at my job. It happens it may be a shocking number of times to you. It's not to me. I'm very used to it. But I get told all the time I'm bad at my job. Ordinarily, it's like out in public, like at a baseball game. And normally it's not mean. Normally it's somebody being introduced and I say, yeah, it's nice to meet you. And they go, I just, no disrespect, I'm not a big fan. And I go, yeah, most people aren't. I get it. I understand that entirely. But it's a pleasure to meet you anyway. And I hope you'll give me a second chance because I am a kiss ass and real good at it. You know what I don't want in my life? I don't want to be so bad at my job that someone argues in a federal court of law that I am bad at my job. I hope to avoid that. If a boss comes to me and goes, you're bad at your job, wouldn't be the first time.
So local court, you're okay with that? Just not federal.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you take me to, if you want to sue me in like Greenville County Court for being bad at my job, like pain and suffering from the damage I've done to your ears, I respect it. I understand that. You can file that. I'll take that. All right. If I ever get to a spot where someone in a federal court of law says Rob's real bad at his job, I might have to reconsider my job at that point.
Nah.
Again, I get told all the time. All the time. Rob, you suck at your job. Yeah, no, I know. I keep doing it anyway, but I know.
I don't recall anyone retiring or being fired or whatever being celebrated as much as this guy ever.
In
sports anyway.
Here's the thing. I racked my brain last night, right? I had 4 hours of radio last night. Even my days off ain't days off, all right? And I sat on BetMGM tonight. We were having this conversation because this news broke while we were on the air. And when we went to a break, our young Padawan producer, Hayton Asamario, said during a break, he said, Rob Brown, has anyone in sports, the entire universe of sports, has anybody in sports ever left their job and been consensus celebrated for the departure? And I racked my brain. And my first thought was, maybe when Tom Brady stepped away. But then I went, no, at least a quarter of the country was like, all right, rip to a goat. I thought
By the way, more proof that gray hair thinks alike. I just want to point that out. Mario and I.
I mean, it is an excellent question from a pair of executive producers. Yes, you are not incorrect.
Tom Brady was only was hated by a certain amount of people.
That is absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely correct.
Angel Hernandez seems to be hated universally.
Everybody. There is not a baseball fan in America. There's not a baseball player. There's not a baseball manager. There's not a baseball fan. There's not a guy who sells peanuts and Cracker Jacks up and down the aisles during an MLB game that didn't get this news last night and at the very least go, good. Good. Bye-bye. That's how bad you were at your job. That is how many games you impacted by being awful at your job. You suck, dude. Now, I hope you have a very happy retirement. You clearly got paid a lot of money to take it. I hope you enjoy Cancun or France or Japan or wherever you decided to travel. Genuinely, Angel Hernandez, I hope that you enjoy your retirement. I hope everybody enjoys that. Not everybody.
I thought you would hope he goes to Siberia or something.
No.
Okay.
No, because the bad man can't hurt me no more. Okay? The bad man can't hurt me no more. I hope you enjoy your retirement. I just hope you enjoy it in a way that I never hear your name again. Angel, baseball fans, revel, celebrate, enjoy. CB Buckner, you're next. You know what else is next? Another segment of the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate.
All right.
You were playing that on 2.
The music? Yeah.
And then you had to what channel was that you hit it to fire?
All right. So one,
Okay.
I hit
Is
that.
that what you hit the fire, the commercial?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the liner is built in, or it should be. If not, you need to put it in, which is the exit, which is right here. Since it's already played, it's in a different color now. But yeah, that's it. So now I will pick my next bed to go in. And also, we stay live during the commercials. So we usually have a lot of conversation with people on the stream. But it's early, so there's not too many people there yet. And I'm not going to be talking a lot because this.
So check Dom's Twitter. Check Dom Mysterio's Twitter. I saw that right after the show started. And I'm like, I'm just going to tell them to bring.
I don't know if I've ever actually looked at his.
It's like Dom Mysterio or something.
Eh.
That's 864-719-2550 or mynewlifeweightloss.com.
That's not really.
I think it's Burke America, that first.
That's a fan site.
Oh,
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It made me chuckle. I'm not. That was.
Technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our
Like,
key
if I'm going to say
markets,
something, I'm gonna
appliances, HVAC,
But-
and outdoor power equipment,
Okay.
and did so both
So
on
good
time and on
commercials
budget.
there. Are they all right here?
AmericanEagle.com has
What, the commercials?
Yeah.
No, the commercials are already built in.
Okay.
So you come in,
No, I'm talking about like where you can pull others if you need to. They're over here.
if you need fill or something.
Yeah, you gotta like add to where the countdown. Or I think is that the right word, countdown?
The only thing that we have to really time into is the top of the break,
Okay.
the top of the hour.
I remember. Yeah, I knew there was something. I just couldn't remember what exactly.
And so top of the hour it has to time in to be like, in this case, 7 o'clock. So it depends on what time we go to break and how much we have to put in.
Try not to make you talk a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of impossible.
But I'm just like,
It's tough on a talk radio show.
but I'm just trying to,
I got you.
Hang in there, Zoe. We're
Nope.
gonna get you through it.
Nope, I'm gonna pass out.
I
We'll
would-
see what happens if I pass out.
I know what happens. You lose half your teeth.
If not, if I fall backwards. All right, so we have a rejoin right there. So
okay.
I will play music underneath that whenever that starts.
How can I get in touch with the show today, Rob? Because I would love to say words on the radio about Angel Hernandez. Well, I'm glad you asked, hypothetical listener, that I made up for this exact situation. The answer is by giving us a call on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-326-3663. That's 844-FANFONE. You may also shoot us a text on the text line at 71307 and start your text with the word fan, F-A-N, fan, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air, as we will with Joey's text, who said, I know Lonzo doesn't fully grasp how great this is, but Rob is doing an excellent job of explaining the celebration of Angel being out of baseball. I wonder how many times Hernandez has to argue, and then he makes a joke about baseballs and incorrect calls around the Hernandez household. That's very funny, Joey. Very, very funny to me and my twisted sense of humor. But I'm not going to read that on the air for my own safety and well-being.
By the way, just because I don't follow baseball
Zoe gets
closely doesn't mean I don't know what a bad call is. I'm very aware of that.
If you need to know what a bad call is, just watch the Angel Hernandez greatest hits compilations on YouTube, because they exist.
On the history, in the history of this show, I am the history of this station. In the history of this station, I believe every host that I've worked with has complained about Angel Hernandez.
That's how long he's been this bad.
Yeah.
Lonzo's been here how many years?
Well, since the beginning of this station, yes, which would be, I think, is a decade.
I think is a decade. I've been
Somewhere
here
around
for.
there.
I've been here for
It might be like, it
4.5
probably
half.
might be like 15 years. I don't know.
Let's say, you know what? We could say 15 years and it would still check out. We could say 20 years and it would still check out. That's how long and that's how bad this guy's been at his job. I don't mean to hang, and I'm not going to hang on Angel Hernandez for 4 hours. Don't get me wrong. I could, because umpiring has been hilariously bad in Major League Baseball this year. And don't get me wrong. If you've listened to this show, you know this is a complaint that I've had every single year. This is why, to the chagrin of the great one, who understands how bad Angel Hernandez is at his job, this is why Rob Brown has been Team Robo-Ump for a very long time now.
Yeah, see, I had this thought, and I didn't want to voice it, but since you brought it up, what if the new czar of robo-umps is Angel Hernandez? What if he's over the robo-umps?
I promise you he won't be.
Yeah, I kind of want that to happen.
Listen, from the standpoint of a radio dude, that would be incredible because that would just be oodles and oodles. And you know our two favorite units of measurements on this show, oodles and buttloads. That would be oodles and a buttload on top of phenomenal radio content if tomorrow MLB goes, and part of the settlement for Angel Hernandez stepping away is that Angel Hernandez will now preside over our research and development arm, of the RoboUmp balls and strikes system. I would, as a baseball fan, probably see if I was able to start like a full wholesale pitchforks and torches riot at MLB HQ. I think I would genuinely get on a plane today. I think I would fly to MLB headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. I think I would bring a big poster board with a sign that says Rob Manfred is bad at his job behind only Angel Hernandez, who is worse. And I think I would see if I could start like a massive protest against the job. And by the way, Cody Decker and I had this conversation. Cody Decker, of course, my co-host on Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL network, on the Odyssey app, and on fine Odyssey stations nationwide. Deck and I have had this conversation because he was listening to this show one day, as Deck frequently checks into this show in the AM. I just sent him a text during the break to see if he might hop on later in the show to talk about this, to prove that I'm not the only baseball guy that is like throwing a damn party. Deck and I had this conversation not too long ago where I did what I normally do and said, Rob Manfred, not a huge fan. And Deck said, let me tell you the truth, Rob, from a baseball player's perspective, a lot of players actually really like Rob Manfred right now. They like Rob Manfred because they think he's doing a good job. Attendance is up, money is up, salary cap has gone up, luxury tax is still in place and teams are paying it. A lot of players very happy with the performance of Rob Manfred, which is why Rob Manfred, they're happy to keep on board until, what was it, 10 years, 11 more years until he calls it a gig? Like a long time from now. If that decision got made, it would be real bad. But to circle back around to the RoboUmp conversation, this is why I'm frustrated. This is why I have been pushing, and some of you guys have been like, Rob, all right, dude, we get it. Like, move on. And I understand it. But do you see what those of us who have followed the game for any length of time have been complaining about? This is a dude that has not just been an umpire, but has been like a predominant umpire. Like a guy who's worked a lot of big games. That's so bad at his job that he gets canned at like 9:45 on a holiday Monday. And yes, I know he retired. But he retired because Major League Baseball was like, you know what? Let's come off a few milli to get him up out the game, yeah? It broke at like 9:45 on a holiday Monday at the conclusion of a 3-day weekend, at a day where a solid chunk of America was exhausted because either they had been traveling all day to get home from their long weekend, A, or B, they had been sitting by the pool knocking back brewskis all day. But like a solid chunk of America was clocked out, was in bed because they had to get back to work today after a 3-day weekend, was sleeping off the day drinking early hangover, had been spending time on the highways all day. They dropped that news. I'm not going to say for the purposes of having it fly under the radar, but there's a reason that they dropped it at 9:45 on a holiday Monday night. And yet when they did, if you popped on social media, Angel Hernandez was the number one trending topic worldwide. And worldwide. And if you clicked on Angel Hernandez's name, you didn't see a single tweet or post or X or thread or IG post or anything else with people going, thank you for your many years of service, Angel Hernandez. Quite the opposite. Everybody that has any connection to baseball was dunking on this cat. Like, I really do hope, jokes aside, I really do hope Angel Hernandez enjoys his retirement. He put a lot of years into Major League Baseball. You'll notice I said a lot of years and not a lot of good years, but he put a lot of years into Major League Baseball, and I hope he enjoys his retirement. I truly do. I also hope that Angel Hernandez is like full boomer and not on social media, because if my dude is on Instagram or Twitter or Threads or Blue Sky or Facebook or LinkedIn.
What the heck is Blue Sky?
Blue Sky is another alternative to Twitter that has popped up.
Okay.
Yeah. If he is on any sort of social media and he gets online today, I believe that even with the unjustified confidence in himself that Angel Hernandez clearly has, and to do that weird strike 3 call that Angel Hernandez does, you got to be pretty confident in yourself. Even with the undeserved levels of self-confidence that Angel Hernandez has in himself, if Angel Hernandez gets on social media and clicks on his name while it's trending on these websites this morning, and as people are waking up from their holiday slumber and getting prepared to return to work for the first time in a week, it feels like, if he clicks on his name on the social media sites, Angel Hernandez's mental health will not be good. It will not be good. He is getting roasted, toasted, and burnt to a crisp right now. Angel, my man, sincerely, enjoy your retirement. Enjoy the millions and millions of dollars that Major League Baseball has just paid you to go away. I really hope you do. Also, stay off the internet for a few months. Stay off the internet for a few months, Angel. But for those of us in Major League Baseball, in the fandom, in the MLB universe as a whole, today is a day of celebration and enjoyment. Let us all dance our way to and through the break. We come back on the other side. We put the Angel Hernandez situation to bed, and we get into all the things that took place this weekend. Boston finishes the sweep of the Pacers. The Mavs try to do the same to the Timberwolves tonight. We'll talk some NBA playoffs. We got to get into Major League Baseball because while it is great to be a baseball fan, it kind of sucks to be a Braves fan right now. Can we be honest about it? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more all coming up. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on.
Okay, so I play that song, but I couldn't play it on stream.
Wahoo!
So I took it out of utility when I played it. So they didn't hear it.
Sorry, y'all.
They heard Rob singing it, which is just as good.
It might be better.
He's like the lost member of Kool and the Gang.
I'm just
When that story broke last night,
really cool.
I saw someone say Hawk Harrelson might be jumping for joy.
CB Buckner's looking around
That
like,
call is absolutely brutal. That makes me wish Hawk was still calling White Sox games just for this moment.
Hey, I think I'm going to die.
Don't.
Sorry, guys. A lurker, Steven. That's who's lurking in the background. A lurker.
Oh, do I need to pop her?
No, you don't have to. I mean, if you wanted to stick your head in the camera, I wouldn't do that. This is Justin. He is training today. All right. So good job.
Broke 230, baby.
Yeah.
Been a long time.
All right. Any questions? Again, I'm sorry. I can't explain a whole
No,
lot
you're good.
because I'm dying, as I
You're
pointed out.
battling.
Yeah.
You're trying to battle through. I get. That's why I'm trying to like watch and then only when necessary. You know, I'm trying to.
Hey, I'm supposed to train you, so don't worry about me dying.
No.
I mean, because if
I'm
I
worried you can't train him if you're dead.
well, that's
that's a problem. That
well-
seems a problematic.
well, I mean, if I die, just push me aside and jump on the board and take over.
Don't worry, I can coach you through it. I'm not as good as Lonzo, but I'm good enough.
Well,
Okay,
there's not
so
too many
you-
people as
so
good as
where you
me.
grab
So
this,
I mean,
all that's over here.
no,
Okay. Is that already loaded in?
that's already loaded in.
Okay.
The only thing that we put in are the exits and the rejoins.
Okay.
But every other show except for this one is programmed. We're getting around to it eventually, but the boss is busy, and I'm very busy too, and I just haven't had time to do it.
Programmed, as in everything just loads itself.
The ins and outs will be in it, yes. Every other show on both stations is like that. I still protest about it because people don't know how to move anything.
Yeah.
But every time I go over there, it's like, yeah, we'll make time, and we never do. So it's not my fault. I try. He is really busy though.
I'm just, I'm trying to study. I'm a nerd.
So again, when you see the rejoins,
Okay.
just like any other
Yeah.
thing, music coming back. So
It is the Rob Brown Show. I am Rob Brown, the great one. Lonzo on the ones and twos this morning. We have spent, I don't want to say more than enough time talking about Angel Hernandez because I might again, to be honest with you. I might again. That's how happy I am about this decision. But for now, we put that story at least temporarily to bed. Let's say that story takes a nap. For now, it's going to wake up a little later on in the radio broadcast. But, my dudes and my dudettes, let us talk a little bit of NBA shooty hoops, shall we? Because last night, the Boston Celtics finished off the Indiana Pacers. And I would like to talk just briefly about the game. 105-102, Boston, who trailed at the end of the first quarter, then trailed at the end of the second quarter. Led at the end of the first quarter, led at the end of halftime by a single point. They got beat in the third, and early in the fourth quarter, Indy looked like they were going to put this thing to bed, but for the third out of 4 games, the Indiana Pacers, Lonzo, I don't know how much you got to watch of this game, but I am going to go ahead and say choked again.
it was a lot closer than I thought it would be in an elimination game. I did watch a lot of the game Saturday with Dallas and Minnesota, but I didn't watch as much as on this game because I knew it was over.
I had a couple of
good on Indiana deciding that they didn't think it was over. I mean, being out there and being competitive and having a shot at winning the game.
I told this story on BetMGM tonight. I've told it on this show many times, so I won't get into all the nuts and bolts and details of the story, but you all remember the story of my old middle school coach, Tom Grant, who after we got punked by a rival run day, pulled off a bench, we were all prepared to get chewed out for the L, and Tom Grant, a gruff old military dude, looked us in the face and he said, "Boys, today you had the biggest problem in sports. The other team was just better than you." And it's a hard thing to hear as an 8th grader, but it's also an important life lesson. It's one of those life lessons that youth sports teaches us. It is important to learn that sometimes you can do your best. Sometimes you can be perfect. Sometimes you can do everything right and you will still lose because the guy on the other side of the scoreboard or the field or the court or the negotiating table or whatever is just better than you. And that was the problem the Indiana Pacers had.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Even with a healthy Tyrese Halliburton, the C's were just a better basketball team. Now, I would argue that the Pacers were a little bit more tenacious. As Bobby Bowden would say, they had a little more tenacity in them in this series than Boston did. But I also think Boston never really felt threatened in this series. They probably should have, because let's be honest, if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't dribble the ball off his foot with 10 seconds left to play in game 1, Indiana probably wins that game. We're talking a 1-0 series. They got beat in game 2. In game number 3, same situation. If the Pacers don't make a string of stupid mistakes in the fourth quarter, Indiana might win game 3. That's a 2-1 series at that point. And then last night, a night in which the Pacers were pacing the Boston Celtics early in the fourth quarter. If they don't just start losing that pace late in the game, if they don't switch up a defense, which they did, if they don't stop or if they don't start changing up the offense, which they did, if they just play the basketball that got them there, they might have, and I mean this, they might have had a 3-1 series lead after last night going back to Boston. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And part of it is because, as I predicted, though I thought this game was going to be by more, I did have a little coin down on Beantown -7.5, because I really just thought Boston would be leading early in the fourth quarter and eventually Indiana would just run out of gas. I made a classic blunder, which is not to give credit to a team that is up against elimination early, especially when they're at the house. Because while they are not as good as Boston, they are still made up of some of the best basketball players on the face of planet Earth. And even if they know they're cooked, because nobody comes back from being down 3-0, especially when the next game is on the road. But these guys, they still have some pride. They still have some element of give a darn in them. They don't want to get swept, and they certainly don't want to get swept and have the other team bouncing up and down and receiving the trophies on their home court. So while they are just, frankly, not as good as Boston, I should have knew they were going to put up more of a fight than I gave them credit for. I went Boston -7.5, probably the dumbest bet in retrospect that I've made in these entire NBA playoffs so far. On the flip side, what about the Dallas Mavericks? What about the Minnesota Timberwolves? The Big D, and I do mean Dallas, does have the Timberwolves down 3-0. Again, nobody comes back from a 3-0 series deficit to win. It just doesn't happen. But this game is not in Minnesota, as the Pacers elimination game was last night. The T-Wolves have the opposite situation. Not only have they been pushed to the brink of a sweep by the Dallas Mavericks, a Dallas Mavericks team that, by the way, I must on air apologize to, because I have underestimated them in every single series. I have underestimated them in every single game, and I will not make that mistake again. But my question here, do you think the T-Wolves get it done? Because again, teams put up fights when they find themselves on the brink. I'm not going to say of elimination, because every game for the Timberwolves for the rest of the ride is elimination, but on the brink of getting swept in the NBA playoffs is usually where you see teams hit the next level. And I don't think any of us are going to, for a second, argue that a full-strength Timberwolves team up against the Mavs team that will not have Derek Lively, by the way, because that knee he took to the back of the head was brutal. But I don't think any of us are going to argue that the T-Wolves are not as good as the Indiana Pacers, who gave the overall number 1 seed Boston Celtics all they wanted and a little more last night, and are only a 2.5-point underdog in this one. Zoe, you have been correctly nailing every single Mavericks game this season, so put on the Swami hat and tell me, is the series over tonight?
Man, I don't know. It's been close every single game.
It has.
I think Minnesota gets one.
So not the full sweep. If it's not the full sweep,
I do think Dallas is going to win in 5, but I think Minnesota might get one tonight.
See, I'm going to go ahead and say, if Minnesota gets tonight's matchup, if they win tonight, this is going to 6. Because if they go back to Minnesota, they go back to the Land O'Lakes with any sort of breath. And I also think it's probably going to depend on how they win, right? No Derek Lively. Remember, I've been telling you for a while, the key to this playoff run for the Dallas Mavericks, as much as we want to say that it's Luka and Kyrie, and it is, Luka has been excellent, and Lonzo and I have been praising the efforts of one Kyrie Irving pretty much since the All-Star break.
Did it again Saturday.
33 points.
Yep, look good.
Not only look good, honestly, if you've never watched Mavs basketball and I told you that this was Kyrie's team and Luka just had a good night, you might believe it.
See, that's what happens when you go at Kyrie. You make him remember that he is Kyrie, and he's out there handling the ball like he used to do when he was younger, making people look stupid. It's fun to watch.
It does, and it creates a situation where Minnesota had to make a decision. The decision was, do we try to double team Kyrie and take his dribble drive and jump shot away from him and leave Luka Doncic one-on-one on the outside, or do we keep doing what we're doing, try to slow down the power forward that Luka is? I know he's a shooting guard, but he's a power forward. Do we try to slow down Luka Doncic and just hope that Kyrie has an off night? And so far in this series, Kyrie's not had an off night, as Lonzo pointed out. After game 1, or was it before game 1? I don't remember. Either way, Anthony Edwards was asked about the fact that he was likely going to be the guy that draws the defensive assignment of Kyrie. And they said, how are you going to handle it? And while I know that Anthony Edwards is a very confident guy, you kind of have to be when you are drawing baby Michael Jordan comparisons, while Anthony Edwards is a very confident guy, while Anthony Edwards is a guy that believes in Anthony Edwards, and not even, frankly, not even in an obnoxious way, right? There's a lot of players that kind of go overboard and it gets to the point of almost obnoxious. I'd like to cite Kyrie Irving from 3 years ago. Anthony Edwards said into an open microphone when asked about Kyrie Irving, he said, I got this. He said he can't get me. He said he can't guard me, and I will guard him. He didn't say, I'm going to make sure that Kyrie Irving isn't a factor in this series, but he did. And Kyrie, as Michael Jordan said in the Last Dance documentary, I took that personally. And he did. He did. He took it personally, and my dude has shown up and shown out. However, this team still has Anthony Edwards. And while he has been, and I don't say this lightly, because there's been a few, Karl Anthony Towns has been the disappointment of these NBA playoffs. Not kinda. I mean, any team, any series, top to bottom, left to right. In a series, in a playoff bracket, where the Boston Celtics have not been challenged, because in round 1, the Miami Heat didn't have playoff Jimmy Buckets. That team is not good without him. In round 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers, perhaps the most overhyped 4 seed in the history of the NBA playoffs, lost Donovan Spida Mitchell, the only guy that was keeping them competitive in the playoffs. And then in round 3, the Indiana Pacers lose Tyrese Halliburton, their best player. I don't know if the Boston Celtics back in Beantown have some sort of voodoo priestess behind the scene with a little voodoo doll of all these players that the Celtics are up against. I don't know what the case is, because remember, even their opponent, everybody was getting ready for what? Knicks, Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals. And then what happens? The New York Knicks have a injured player list that could beat half the teams in the NBA. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson's got to miss time with a busted foot. They had 3 of their 5 starters from game 1 out in the last 2 games of their series with the Indiana Pacers. So I don't know if Boston has some sort of like dark arts teacher, like Hogwarts back at TD Garden, living somewhere deep in the bowels of the stadium that knows how to put together a voodoo doll and it is working. But Boston, sorry, they're good, but they have gotten lucky so far. They got lucky with no Jimmy Butler. They got lucky with Donovan Mitchell getting hurt. They got lucky that the Knicks had half their starters on the injured list so that the Pacers, who are a 6 seed, and let's call a spade, are lucky to have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, where their opponent, they have not been tested yet. And with all of that going on, with all of that true in these NBA playoffs, Karl-Anthony Towns has been the biggest disappointment. He's been pedestrian. He's been average. He's getting you 11, 12 points a game, which is not enough. His over-under in these games are being set at like 19, 20, 22, and he's getting like 12, 13, 14. It's not good. He's getting you half the rebounds he should. He's getting you half the blocks he should. Anthony Edwards has tried to carry this Minnesota team by itself. So there's half of me that kind of wants to go with the T-Wolves tonight. Lonzo already did. And there's half of me that wants to follow Zoe because he has been knocking it out of the pack with these Mavs selections so far in these playoffs. Game for game, he's been right, I believe, the whole time. May have missed one or two. I want to tail him. I want to follow. I want to put my hard-earned radio millions on the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. But I can't do it if if Karl-Anthony Towns has forgotten to play basketball. Keep in mind, as I mentioned a minute ago, Derek Lively's out for this game because he caught a Rudy Gobert running knee, WWE style, to the back of the noggin that hit the back of his head so hard, his nose touched his sternum. Did you see that? It was brutal, dude.
Yeah, I missed that. So I didn't get to watch the entire game. I watched what was left when I got home Saturday night. And yeah, I missed that whole thing.
If it had, let me put it this way, great one. If that had happened in a wrestling match on Monday Night Raw, you know how WWE likes to show a replay of an impactful move at like 50% speed, but right when it hits, they go to full speed so that you can't see that it's kind of fake. If this happened in a match, they would have gone with the full slow-mo replay. That's how hard he got hit. He got popped. His head, I mean it when I say his head was a 90-degree angle down. His head was all the way down. I can't even do it. And it's also because I'm old and out of shape and not bendyable anymore.
Well, and you've lost weight, so it's a further distance for you to try to get your head down there.
Under 230, by the way. Ba-bow! Let's go. The point here is, no Derek Lively. And I've told you the whole time, what's been the key to the Mavs playoff run so far? The double twin towers, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. The fact that they can go, yo, Gaff, we need to give you 4 or 5 full minutes, 100%, all out, everything you got, leave it all out there. And then once you're done with that 4 or 5, we're sending Lively in. And he's going to rim protect, and he's going to give us 4 or 5 hard minutes. And then we're going to come back to Gaff, back to Lively, back to Gaff, back to Lively. And we're going to alternate those 4 or 5 minute stretches of 100% ball from a pair of rim protectors because Rudy Gobert is not an offensive threat. And we're going to basically eliminate him from this game by having you two down there and make the mid-range jumper harder with a pair of alternating 7-footers. But if Lively can't go, it's all on Daniel Gafford. And as much as Daniel Gafford has gotten a deserved amount of love in this series, by himself, he can't go full tilt start to finish like him, and Lively's back there waiting for him. I want to go Timberwolves tonight, but I can't because I don't trust Karl-Anthony Towns, and that's a problem. You know who I do trust with everything in my career? The great one, Lonzo.
I don't know. Not a good day to do that. The Atlanta Braves suffered 2 bad losses this weekend yesterday. The Braves dropped a 6-4 game in D.C. against the Nationals. Charlie Morton got shelled, giving up 12 hits and 8 earned runs in 5.2 innings. The Braves offense had 8 hits, including an Adam Duvall 2-run shot in the 7th. But Atlanta wasn't able to climb back in it. The loss came hours after it was announced that reigning NL MVP Ronald Acuna Jr. will miss the remainder of the season with the torn ACL. And the world celebrates because controversial MLB umpire Angel Hernandez has announced his retirement from the game. The 62-year-old, who has been an umpire since 1991, reached a settlement with MLB to call it a career. Hey, tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debates, and of course, a whole lot of fun. It's all Wire to Wire. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how. Okay, so like I said, you can have multiple coulettes open. So even though I haven't edited that one yet, I'm going to go ahead and get it started recording for the next hour.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Far away, it looks like
Because Adobe owns CoolEdit, and CoolEdit came out first. CoolEdit is just a simpler version of Adobe. Adobe puts all these extra buttons on and things that a lot of people never will use. And
simple's better for me.
yeah, same here. And some people can't go back from Adobe to CoolEdit, and I don't understand because this is just it's just a lot easier to use.
Like when I started out at North Greenville, first thing they introduced us to was Audacity.
Yep, still use it.
And then Adobe 3.0. Before and it was like a couple years before 5.0 or whatever it was came out. I still use 3.0 personally on my laptop when I'm editing coach interviews for football.
So do I.
But that.
Thanks, Steven. I won't let it go to my head.
Huh?
I was talking to Steven. Yeah.
But that makes me a little bit,
3.0 and CoolEdit are very close.
okay.
Yeah, because
That makes me feel good.
I used 3.0 a bunch back before we got the new Adobe.
That makes me feel good in that sense,
I think there might even there's a 3.0 on here. So if you want,
I couldn't use both at the same time. Or with that.
yeah, you can use 3.0 and you can use CoolEdit. You can use CoolEdit even though
I'll
other
start
stuff is
with
on.
CoolEdit, just
Yeah.
to play smart, keep it make it easier.
Others will tell you that you need to use Adobe, but you use whatever you're most comfortable with.
I'm willing to give CoolEdit a shot first,
All right, so I need to look at the time and see if it's going to time out to the top of the hour.
Where are we at?
All right, here's a clock right here.
Okay.
And here's how much is left.
How far out?
Yeah. So we need to get it to 7 o'clock. So I am going to have to add stuff.
I was trying to. I didn't know where the time.
So it's 58:20, 58:47.
Didn't know if there's it told you how much you were off.
No, not for this. So I'm just going to add a 60. I can either add a wire to wire or a Rob Brown. We also have 60s for a couple of the other shows, including Jim Rome. But I like myself and Rob. So
You should do the rest.
it'll show up eventually.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm.
All right. So you probably saw during the thing I was doing this. These are chapters. So if you go on the app and you look to see a certain chapter, okay, they talked about this here. You click on that chapter and it will rewind back to that chapter and let you hear that. So you have to label each chapter. It's basically what we were talking about. Not basically, it is what we were talking about. And then I'm going to upload last hour's.
Oh, so you just uploaded by hour up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Trying to study.
Obviously, I don't expect you to get all this the first day.
If I start getting irritated, you'll know why.
No, you're good. Ask as many questions as you can.
No, when I first start trying stuff and I don't.
Don't.
If I'm
Hey,
up on the timing.
hey, don't do that. Don't put doubt in my mind. You're gonna do great.
No, I'm just saying, like what is it saying? You're your own worst critic.
Yeah.
That's
Hey, welcome to our world, pal.
that's no. I learned that real fast when I got into this at North Greenville.
Okay, this hour is a little bit different because we have something at the beginning called water cooler cheat sheet.
Ooh.
Here we real good, Corey LaJoy. Thanks.
Yeah, there's that's
That's
yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
Well, listen, it's I mean it's Tuesday, but it's Monday.
I'm
right?
gonna blame the snot. That's what I'm blaming. I mean, if you're gonna blame something nasty and disgusting, snot would be the thing to blame. Yes. It doesn't bother you that I say snot, does it? I mean,
No.
I haven't seen a text from the boss saying don't say snot, and I don't think it's
I don't
one of
think
those
it's on the
words.
ban
And
list.
I know that there are probably people eating their biscuit right now, and jelly can look a certain way, especially if it's green. I'm gonna stop.
Wait.
Some people put jelly on biscuits,
Jelly, no problem. I'm a big jelly on a biscuit guy.
and apple
All right.
jelly would be kind of
Big apple jelly guy.
greenish in consistency.
You know what?
Of,
Wait a
know.
minute. I was gonna say, what kind of jelly or jam are you eating that looks like snot? But now that I think about it, I have filled a handful of handkerchiefs with stuff the consistency of apple butter. And I don't know about you, I'm a big apple butter guy.
Yeah, I love the apple butter. I do. And I'll be thinking of it differently, and it'd be all my fault.
It is your fault, just so we're clear.
Yeah, I know.
That thought had never entered my mind until Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. And the next time
I'm proud that you know the date because I did.
I had to write it down earlier. The next time that I enter a Wahoo, because I think we all have our standard Waffle House order, right? Mine is a ham and cheese omelet, smothered, covered, chunked. All right. I want my white gravy. I want my ham, and I want my mushrooms on it. And then
That's
more
than smothered, covered, and chunked. I mean, that's a couple other extras.
No,
there.
that's the three.
No,
That's the three.
No, mushrooms don't come unless you ask for it.
That's one of the things. I forget. I don't remember if it's scattered, smothered, etc. But all of those things mean a thing. And I think mushrooms is one of them. Let's see. Scattered is the cook will spread the hash browns across the grill to get them ultra crispy. Smothered is onions. Topped is chili. Covered is cheese. Chunked is ham. Diced is tomatoes. Peppered is jalapenos. Capped. That's what it is.
There
Capped.
we go. So there are a couple of those in there that I haven't heard
Yeah.
of before.
Capped is mushrooms. Country is to add the sausage gravy. That's a
So
must.
you're smothered, covered, Captain Country.
I am. Let's see. I am smothered, topped, covered, Captain Country, which is how I'm going to order that specifically next time and make sure my Wahoo folks are on top of the game. All right. But I think we all have our go-to Wahoo order. Ham and cheese omelet as listed. I want a side of sausage patties. I'm a sausage patty guy when it comes to the Wahoo.
You don't like the links?
I'm okay with the links, but I'm just a patty guy. I can't.
You know what? You get a little more kick to a patty than you do a link.
I think so. And outside of that, I don't really know why I'm a patty guy over a links guy. Listen, I'm a sausage guy. All right. I'm gonna take whatever you give to me on the plate for sure. But I just have fallen into the habit of patty. But the point here is on the side of that order, Rob Brown wants raisin toast because raisin toast is untouchable, and apple butter. And the next time that I'm at the Wahoo and I order my ham and cheese omelet, and by the way, I will clarify one step. I do not go with chunked because I don't want the ham on top of the omelet. I want the ham in the omelet, right? That's the difference. A ham and cheese omelet has the ham cooked into the omelet versus chunked, which is the ham on top of the omelet. I want it in the
So
omelet.
you're saying you can have too much ham. It is possible to have too much ham.
No, I think
It's not possible to have too much bacon, but you can have too much ham.
I don't think that I can. What I think I can say is it is a preference of the ham delivery device. I want the ham in there with the cheese and the egg as opposed to up on top where I might get some random ham hanging around. I like the salty of the ham mixed in with the egg and the cheese. I like it up in there. Point here is next time I get my raisin toast with apple butter, I'm going to look at said apple butter in a completely different light.
You're welcome.
I did not say thank you.
Lonzo is a superstar.
It is 7:05 in the morning. You are 54 minutes and 46 seconds away from having a clock into work. And when you do, I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be looking forward to taking that first break. You're going to be looking forward to walking down the hallway. You're going to be looking forward to meeting Jim from IT to talk sports, because that's your sports guy. And y'all, that's what y'all do on the break. You talk sports. Well, if you're going to talk sports with Jim from IT, you're going to need to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, ladies and gentlemen, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Shut the hell up.
even before they take their first.
No. Here we go.
Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this AM with your workplace proximity associates. Let's get into it with item number 1. A special edition of the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet. This one is actually 103 items long. Items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ... 98, 99, and 100 are all this. Goodbye, Angel Hernandez. Yes, it is so big of a deal that a single umpire stepping away from Major League Baseball is one of the top 3 stories in sport. I'm so happy I can't even contain it. I'm losing control of the English language. That's how jacked up I am about this.
Yeah, when you said spory, I thought spork, and it's just
well, I accidentally combined sports and story. It obviously happens to all of us, right?
Well, it'll be in Urban Dictionary by tomorrow.
A sports story, now affectionately known to as a spory here on the show. It is such a big deal, Angel Hernandez finally leaving Major League Baseball, as he should have literally, not even haha funny style, literally decades ago. Angel Hernandez has reached an agreement, a settlement, if you will, with Major League Baseball to go ahead and retire from the game. In a statement issued last night after the news broke, Angel Hernandez said he has decided to spend more time with his family. Okay, bro, whatever you want to say, I'm good with it. All right? I don't care. The real reason is because Major League Baseball, an organization that to an almost irresponsible level has for years defended bad umpires, got so frustrated defending Angel Hernandez that they eventually said, hey, dog, what if we give you a few milli to disappear? What if we gave you a handful of millions of dollars to head down to Cancun for the season? What do you think about that? And Angel, being an obviously very reasonable person, said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take that. Deciding to retire was the only good call Angel Hernandez made this year. That's a better joke than any of you gave it credit for, and I'm very proud of it.
Sorry, I didn't laugh. If I laugh, I'm going to have a coughing fit.
That's also true.
I'm just laughing on the inside.
That's also true. It is a big deal. This is, if nothing else, it goes at least to inspire a little optimism in those of us, and by those of us, I mean myself and Cody Decker, in those of us that have been clamoring for change, in those of us who have said, we have one major fault with Rob Manfred and with Major League Baseball. And that major fault is this league has no accountability for anybody who's not a player. It just has no accountability for its management. It has no accountability for its ownership, a la John Fisher, a la Artie Moreno. It has no accountability for anybody who's not on the field in a uniform, including umpires. And for the first time, even if it's in a way that cost baseball a few milli, at least it feels like there's a little bit of accountability here. And that, my dudes and my dudettes, is very appreciated. Item numero dos. The NCAA baseball regionals are officially set, and South Carolina as a state has got a handful of teams in. Now, there is one team that I am quite upset about making it. That is, my dear friends, the College of Charleston, who, as far as I'm concerned, got absolutely shafted by the NCAA Baseball Tournament Selection Committee, a committee that includes the athletic director on its membership. Scott Strickland is on that committee, and the mighty Gators of Florida, a team that, yes, I know they played in the SEC. I know they had a very difficult strength of schedule, but a team that was over 500 by one game at 28-27. A team that was bounced immediately from their conference tournament somehow made the field. One of 11 teams from the Southeastern Conference to make it in. While the College of Charleston, who, if I recall correctly, was like 32-24 or 38-24, some stupid number like that, they did not get in. And when asked why last night, the entire committee said as a whole, okay, they weren't actually asked and they didn't actually say that, but I think you get the point. It's bad. It's real bad. It's real bad. However, South Carolina did get a number of teams in. Wofford made the show. They're heading to Chapel Hill, North Carolina to play in the North Carolina Regional. However, the game that they drew out of the gate is going to be a very interesting one. LSU bounced South Carolina in the SEC Conference Tournament semifinals. They actually were the sole party responsible for the elimination of Mark Kingston's squad as they knocked off South Carolina not once but twice, and they came back from big deficits not once but twice to do it. That is Wofford's opening round opponent in the Chapel Hill Regional coming up on Friday. South Carolina made the regional as well. South Carolina is heading up to Raleigh, North Carolina, as they are the 3 seed in the Raleigh Regional. They will open up on Friday at 2 p.m. when they square up with James Madison University. The other two teams in that regional are Bryant and NC State. By the way, in the Wofford Regional, you got Wofford LSU. The other two teams are Long Island University and North Carolina in the Chapel Hill Regional.
Did you say Long Island?
Long Island. Long Island. That's where people like Big Ange are from. They're from Long Island.
Okay, that's what. All right,
yeah.
Gotcha.
You understand? They're from Long Island.
Yeah, I got you now.
Clemson is going to be hosting a regional as well. The Clemson South Carolina regional will include the Clemson Tigers as the 1 seed. They grab one of the top 8 national seeds, and so they will start up on Friday. However, they got High Point in game 1. Waiting for them, more than likely, in game 2, because up against the last team from South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, making a regional. They will travel across the state to take on Vanderbilt. A Vanderbilt team that in 2017 and 2018 came to Clemson, and both times beat Clemson. Not like squeaked by and eked out a victory and escaped. No. Beat Clemson in both times. I think it was, if I recall correctly, 9-0 in one game, and then it was like 16-9 or 6-0, and then like 19-6 the second time they did it in an elimination game. A very familiar foe for the Clemson Tigers coming to town here in the Clemson Regional. The SEC gets 11 teams into the tournament, and coming up in just a few short minutes, Lonzo, you can go ahead and prepare the conspiracy bed, because there's one a-brewing in college baseball. We will get to that coming up very shortly on the show. But before we do, let us get to item number 3. You heard the great one just mere minutes ago mention this story in our hourly sports flash. A sports flash where Lonzo walks you through some of the more important news stories from the day before, perhaps the weekend before. Well, there's one brewing in Atlanta, Georgia right now, a story that is going to take some time to get itself worked out. The Atlanta Braves are not good right now. They're not good. They dropped 3 out of the 4 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. 2 out of the 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Then they go up to D.C. to take on the lowly Nationals, a Nationals team that is 4 games under 500 right now. And they drop an 8-4 decision, partially because the pitching for this team is not real good. Uncle Charlie Morton, a guy that I was really excited was going to be able to come back this year and throw another haymaker in his 9-round bout with Father Time. But last night, Father Time was able to lock in one of Jericho's 1,000 holds and put him in the armbar. Charlie Morton, 5.2 innings pitched, 12 hits, 8 earned runs, including a dinger for the Washington Nationals. Let me repeat that, because if you're a baseball fan, and you're a Braves fan specifically, you probably yelled "what" at the radio real loud, like a degenerate Stone Cold Steve Austin. Charlie Morton, 5.2 innings pitched, 12 hits, 8 runs, all 8 of them earned, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts given up. A season ERA that has now risen to 4.29. The Braves did manage 8 hits in this game. That included a home run from Adam Duvall. However, this was kind of a crappy game to lose if you're Atlanta. Why, you might ask? Well, you had a couple of things happen. You had Austin Riley, who returned to the lineup after missing time due to injury. You had Sean Murphy return to the lineup after missing multiple weeks due to injury. You got your starting lineup back from opening day, ... except Ronald Acuna Jr., the reigning, defending, undisputed National League most valuable player, tore his ACL in a game against Pittsburgh on Saturday. On Sunday, it was confirmed, technically really late Saturday night, but on Sunday it was confirmed by the Atlanta Braves that Ronnie is done for the season, as he will require reconstructive surgery on that ACL. So an ACL dooms the ATL, and even in a game where they get back Riley, they get back Murphy, they're able to build their lineup back the way that they want it to be. They should be playing inspired baseball to go out there and win one for the Acuna. The Braves stink and they lose to the Nationals. Yay. It sucks to be a Braves fan right now. The bad news, they're now 30-21. They are still 9 games over 500, but it's not the 30-21. It is the fact that they are now a full 6 games back of the Philadelphia Phillies in the NL East. We'll talk more Braves ball later on in the show. When we come back, there is a conspiracy brewing in college baseball, and I will tell you all about it when we return on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live reading. We're right back. Do me a favor. Stay right there. that the Florida State Seminoles got screwed, and they got screwed so that the Alabama Crimson Tide could get into the college football playoff because, my goodness, we can't possibly have a college football playoff without the Southeastern Conference represented, can we? So you ended up with a Final Four that included an SEC team, despite the fact that for the first time in the history of the playoffs, a Power 5 conference team that did not lose a game and won their conference outright got left at home. And they justified it, and many of you have justified it with, well, Rob, they didn't have their starting quarterback. Yes, and you know what? Neither did a number of other teams in years gone by. I cite Lonzo's Ohio State University as one of them that entered that game. The Ohio State University.
That's better.
That entered the college football playoffs without a starting quarterback. But yet that was the team. I firmly believe that this team, the Alabama Crimson Tide, got in because they had to protect the Southeastern Conference. And I do think that is very interesting. So, my dear friends, let us get into the conspiracy that I believe is a brewing in college baseball. Right now, yesterday, it was announced that 11 Southeastern Conference teams had made it into the NCAA baseball postseason tournament. One of the teams that made it in was the Mighty Gators of Florida. Florida got in despite the fact that they finished the season one game over 500. They finished the season, did the Gators second to last in the SEC East with a conference record of 13-7 and an overall record of 28-7. Now, you don't necessarily need to be a college baseball expert in order to understand what I am about to talk about. Left out of this tournament, there were a number of teams. Left out of this tournament was TCU, a TCU team that finished with a 33-21 record. Now, I'm bad at math, but I'm relatively sure that 33 is a higher number than 28. And I'm also relatively sure that 21 is a lower number than 27. Is that correct, Lonzo? Can you confirm that?
Yeah, I just checked the calculator, and apparently you're right.
Okay, make sure. I did do a little work with the abacus last night to make sure that I had that right. Turns out I do. Florida gets in with a winning percentage below 50% in both the conference and in the regular season, whereas I just mentioned a team for you in TCU at 33-21. But wait, I'll do you one better. I don't particularly care which conference that you play in, but if you go 41-14, you should be in the tournament. I'm not saying you necessarily need to host a regional because, yes, I think it is fair to say going, I don't know, let's say 31-24 in a Power 5 conference, the ACC, the Southeastern Conference, the Big 12, whatever. I will say I'd put that on par with 41-14 out of a smaller conference like, I don't know, say the Colonial Conference, just hypothetically speaking. The College of Charleston ended their season 41-14, including 21-5 in their conference. And yet, they got left at home. Chad Holbrook, a name that South Carolina Gamecock fans will be very familiar with as he, used to be your baseball coach and did not do great in Columbia. Well, since his time at the College of Charleston, the COC, has gotten pretty good at baseball. They got left out. And yesterday, Chad Holbrook had to suck it up, go in front of a microphone, and I don't think this is a work. I don't think this is a guy playing up the drama points. Why? Because it wouldn't matter if he did. The selection committee had already spoken. There was no getting it back, improving seating, yada, yada, yada. Like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart did when they were out there crying at the end of the college football season, Bo, it is there because we the SEC. And it worked. but that's a different story. Here's what Chad Holbrook had to say when he was asked about his team getting left at home when teams like Florida, a sub 500 team, were selected to the tournament.
I know I should take the high road a little bit more than probably I'm taking it right now, but I'll fall on the sword for my players. And they deserve better.
This is hard, isn't it?
We work, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And have someone in a room that hadn't seen us play to tell us we're not good enough is asinine to me. And again, I was a coach that got fired for going 13-17. I know what a mediocre regular season is that many teams that got in had. And we had a phenomenal regular season, and it was ignored. And, there are teams that got in today that probably sent their players home because they knew they didn't probably deserve to be in. And our kids were denied a chance to keep playing. And 28-5 their last 33, won the regular season. Regular season doesn't matter. Oh, he said it did matter. Now it doesn't matter when it comes to College of Charleston. I'm at a loss.
Thank you, Chad Holbrook. And don't you play the baby crying sound, damn it. I knew you were going to do it. I freaking knew it. As soon as you grabbed the mouse, I'm like, Lance is going to play the baby crying clip. I know he is. Sir, I am pulling the red card on the great one right now. I'm pulling the red card because Chad Holbrook is absolutely right. He's absolutely right in every sense of the word. And I have another problem. On the selection committee sits whom? That would be Scott Strickland, the athletic director at the University of Florida. And yet Florida sneaks in. And yeah, I'm going to beat up on Florida predominantly. There's a couple of other teams that I could certainly question a little bit more, but they're the team that shouldn't get it. Now, I would like to go to the SEC Now baseball crew. Why? They're ESPN and they're SEC Net. They shouldn't be pointing out when things maybe look like it's a little tilted to the Southeastern Conference. Yet Dari Noka, a guy that I actually really like even on that network, Dari Noka came up with an observation that I did not even realize when these regionals dropped last night.
If chalk were to hold, right, that's a giant if, these would be your super regional matchups, you might notice there's not a single SEC versus SEC matchup. And you might also notice, well, if chalk doesn't hold, there is a possibility to get 8 teams no more. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But there's no SEC supers, which is strange given the fact that there were 11 teams a record in this NCAA tournament.
It is strange, Dari. It is strange. Would you look at that? 11 teams make it in to the bracket. 11 Southeastern Conference teams find their way in to the big show.
You just don't get it. It just means more. Okay, Rob?
It
just means more. All right?
So much. Sir, you just played the baby crying clip over my boy Chad Holmgren. Don't come in here with your sarcasm now. My man's out here shedding tears for the fellas. And you're giving them grief.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting that a lot right now. I'm sure Hank Hill's not the only one screaming that at their radio right now. So, 11 Southeastern Conference teams make it into the SEC tournament, and the structure of the regionals just so happens. You want to go ahead and hit the conspiracy sounder again here? Because here's your conspiracy. Here it is. I'm laying it out there for you. Not only did the College Baseball Selection Committee include the Florida Gators, a team with absolutely no justification for making this tournament as a nearly sub-500 baseball team. But on top of that, the College Baseball Selection Committee actively screwed over. I know I'm supposed to be more eloquent when I do the conspiracy theory thing, but I can't because I'm too bad. Not only did they actively screw over multiple teams from other conferences who had more impressive seasons than Florida did, but then when the College Baseball Selection Committee set up the regional brackets, They did so in a way that there is a 0% chance that a Southeastern Conference team might eliminate another Southeastern Conference team in the Super Regionals. As Dari Noka just pointed out, if chalk holds, if every favorite was to win, there would be no SEC v. SEC Super Regionals. It was built that way on purpose. It was built that way because, as I told you at the end of the college football season, with ESPN owning the Southeastern Conference and television viewership being priority number one, college sports would start to be structured in favor of entertainment over sports. And it just happened in college baseball, the second major sport in 6 months, that's the case. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, one more live read and we're coming right back. Do me a favor, stay right there. that there are a lot over the years of conspiracy theories that have been proven true. Right? We've talked about these in the past. The thought that for a number of years, the United States government was secretly testing the impact of syphilis on African Americans. That's true. That's a thing that happened for many, many years. It was called the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. It got proven true. MK Ultra, which got proven to be a real thing. But then because the MK Ultra experiments got proven to be real, then people started utilizing MK Ultra to promote further conspiracy theories down the line.
I don't know what that is.
It was a CIA mind control experiment. They were trying, basically, can we successfully brainwash, manipulate, and control people?
Is this the staring at goats thing?
No, but kind of a spinoff of it, so to speak. Because some conspiracy theories have been proven true, which is why I don't outright dismiss conspiracy theories in my day-to-day life. I only dismiss the ones that rely actively on false information. I reject the flat earth phenomenon because it is demonstrably untrue. You, as just some guy, can go outside and prove the world is round today. I also do not elect to believe, though sometimes I will not disbelieve, I don't elect to believe conspiracy theories until there is good hard evidence. Now, is there good hard evidence for this one? I mean, I can't say yes. There is no tape that is behind the scenes of the college football playoff selection committee or the college baseball tournament selection committee. I can't prove that these conversations were had. I can't prove that there was any sort of handshake agreement. I can't prove that the big network that is connected to the conference at the heart of my conspiracy theory is actually behind the screen pulling any strings. I can't prove any of those things. But what I can say is that while this is a bit of a reach and I acknowledge it, in court there is a term called circumstantial evidence. Now, in order for circumstantial evidence to prove a case, you gotta have a lot of it. You can't just come in and go, well, X happened and Y happened, and that's a coincidence. So that's a coincidence. Coincidental evidence. You got to bring a lot of it. You got to bring like a lot of it. You got to bring enough coincidences that you can convince a jury or a judge that there's too many coincidences for this to be a coincidence in its entirety. So when I take us back to December, January of 23-24, and we go back in time, 88 miles an hour in the DeLorean back that way, and we look at what happened when it came to the end of the season in the college football playoff selection committee's opportunity to select the only 4 teams in America that would have the opportunity in order to play for a college football playoff championship. They decided to break every precedent that had been set in the history of the playoffs, and for the very first time, leave at home an undefeated conference champion. And I've made the argument that I know Clemson fans, some of y'all are like, why is Rob so salty about this? And the answer is I'm salty about it because could have been you. Could have been you. It was a straight up knock on the image of the Atlantic Coast Conference as a whole. You want to know why the ACC, despite the fact that they saw a 14% increase in revenue in 22-23, is yet further behind the Big Ten and the SEC than they were? It's television contracts, and those television contracts were handed out based on the branding, the imaging of the Big Ten and the SEC. So when that happens, it is a direct knock on the Atlantic Coast Conference's image. And right now, welcome to America in 2024, your brand means more than anything else. I don't care who you are. We have collectively decided as a society that brand means everything. Now, I know in my industry, it probably means a lot more than in a lot of yours. I don't say that any kind of way. It just is what it is. I get emails on the week from our corporate overlords who go, here are some ways to increase your talk radio show host brands, or from companies out there that email me on the daily going, hey, we'd like to help you increase your brand. And you get online and there's 1,000 social media coaches out there to help you increase your online brand visibility. Brand means everything. And the more you can get your brand on a radio, on a television, on a billboard, wherever, the better your brand is for it. So when I look at the not one, but two things that happen that I find very interesting in the college baseball playoff regional bracket that was set, I do have to look at it and go, maybe this is a little bit more than coincidental at this point, and I think it's fair to say. The Southeastern Conference got 11 teams in. That is more than any other conference in America by 3. The ACC got 8. The Big 12 got 6. The Sun Belt got 4. The Big 10 got 3. The Pac-12 got 3. And then everybody else got 2 or 1 or none. The SEC got 11. Were there 11 teams in the Southeastern Conference that all deserve to go into the baseball regionals? My honest answer is no. I do not think Florida got to. If nothing else, Florida did not.
I'm confused about something you said. The Pac-12 got 3. How's that possible?
Because the Pac-12 officially does not dissolve until the end of baseball season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The Pac-12, while it is broken up, does not officially disband as a conference until the end of this athletic year, which is the end of spring.
So did any of the teams in the Pac-12 make it that are still going to be a part of the Pac-12 next year?
Arizona, Oregon, and Oregon State. So one of the 3, that is Oregon State. The other 2, Arizona and Oregon, are already eastbound and down. So the SEC gets 3 more than the next best. The ACC, the conference that I argue was the deepest of the whole thing. If nothing else, I can hinge the entire argument on the Florida Gators, a team that, again, was 1 game over 500 on the season, while I'm watching other schools like the College of Charleston pull up a record of 41-14. And if you want a bigger conference school like TCU with a record of 33-21, getting left out. And then they set up the regionals in a way. As Dari Noka pointed out, and I think it was a heck of a realization and a find. As Dari Noka pointed out, if chalk holds in the regionals, which it won't, it never does. That's why I've said for years and years, and I hope this does not ding it for me, though we will find out later in this postseason. I think college baseball has the best postseason in American sports. Stanley Cup pulls up a very close second. But I think college baseball has the best postseason in sports. It is set up in a way that if chalk holds throughout, there would be 0 SEC versus SEC regionals. None, nada, 9, nil. Zilch, zero, cero, none. There would be no SEC v. SEC super regionals, which, if we want to phrase that a different way, and I do, would mean that they have maximized the chances of getting the maximum number of Southeastern Conference teams into the playoffs. Now, if I was Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, who we're going to hear from coming up later on in the radio broadcast as the SEC spring meetings are officially underway in my old hometown of Destin, Florida. If I was Greg Sankey and they came to me and they said, hey, Rob Brown, you have unlimited power to draw up the college baseball regionals as you see fit. What would my objective be? My objective would be to set them up in a way that maximized my chances of getting the maximum number of Southeastern Conference teams into the super regionals, and then to get the maximum number of SEC teams out of the super regionals and up to Omaha. That'd be the goal, right? And if that was the goal, you literally could not have drawn this bracket up better than you did. You couldn't have. You could not have drawn up the regionals better than you did in order to advance as many Southeastern Conference teams as possible into the Super Regional, to advance as many Southeastern Conference teams as possible into Omaha. You could not have drawn these regionals up better if I gave you money to do it. So, is this all a conspiracy theory? I will acknowledge, as somebody who has said on these airwaves many times, that I find the overwhelming majority of conspiracy theories underwhelming at the least and stupid as hell at the most. I have said on these airwaves many times that if you want me to believe a thing, you would better bring hard empirical evidence to the table. That is how I operate. But I also have to acknowledge that sometimes you got to rely on coincidental evidence to make a judgment call. And this is one of those times. There is, to me, over the past 6 months, a heaping helping of circumstantial evidence that postseason playoffs in college athletics are being set up in a way that maximizes the benefit for the Southeastern Conference, who is in bed with ESPN. And I am to the point now where I believe it. Do you? 71307, start your text with FAN, 71307. Call us 844-FAN-FONE on the renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone. That's 844-326-3663. But wait for just a minute, because before we get your phone calls, Lonzo has to once again blow your pants off, metaphorically speaking, with this sports flash.
Yeah, keep your pants on. Unless you just got out of bed, then put your pants on. Our first NBA Finals contestant is locked in as the Boston Celtics finished off the Indiana Pacers last night, 105-102. Jaylen Brown scored 29, and Jason Tatum had 26 to lead Beantown, who shot 45% on the night. Indiana led a large portion of the contest, but a tired defense late allowed Derek White to knock down a game-winning three with less than 35 seconds remaining. I'm contractually obligated because Rob wants me to do this every single one. Controversial MLB umpire Angel Hernandez has announced his retirement from the game. The 62-year-old, who has been an umpire since 1991, reached a settlement with MLB to call it a career. And make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole, Bryce, and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate. And also, I don't know if you knew this, but they also have a whole lot of fun, and it's all Wire to Wire. I ain't got time to fix it. Stare at the screen. I got to pee.
Curiosity question.
Fire away.
Does Becky, you think she resigns?
Yeah.
I do.
I think her and Seth both do. I don't think they'll catch a better, even at AEW, I don't think they'll catch a better deal than they will. And I think considering, I mean, Seth, if I recall, Seth already signed?
Yeah,
or,
he did.
Yeah, so Seth already signed. I can't imagine she's going to leave, especially when they've got a baby they basically bring on the road with them.
Yeah.
I would also assume that based on the fact that Seth, if we'd be real, like Seth was the workhorse carrying the company for a while on the men's side.
The new world title.
Yep. And I would argue that to some degree, Becky did the same thing on the women's side, especially after Rhea got hurt.
Yeah.
I'd make the argument that at this point they're probably lifers, if I had to guess.
Oh, I'm 100% there with you. I'm just kind of like, I get why some people would think. Maybe on the contrary, I get it. I'm not.
Are we discussing a trending topic?
Not anymore.
For the record, I didn't bring it up.
I know
This was not
it doesn't
on me.
matter. It doesn't matter whether it's you, whether it's the stream, whether it's Justin. You know,
Sorry.
it's all right. It's fine.
Unbelievable, Justin. First day in the building, you're ruining the damn show.
No, it's awesome that you're one of us.
One of us.
I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with attitude. You guys say more.
Best era of professional wrestling.
But I am really liking the Paul Levesque era.
So am I. It's amazing what happens when you
Put someone competent.
well, when you let wrestlers wrestle and you let TV that I'm not going to say any names because just in case they're also trending,
Yeah.
but there were 3 or 4 camera shots. I didn't watch. I mean, I watched Queen and King of the Ring just for the sake of
You want to talk about the 360 from Logan Paul? It's not.
Was one of them?
Yeah, that was
and there
really
was
cool.
one more, a particular wrestler's in-ring entrance right before, I'll just say, her match.
No, you're good. The only thing that was trending from there was
Okay.
Becky. So
The 360 before Logan hit the frog splash on the table.
Yeah.
And the spinning shot of Liv Morgan in 4K in the ring right before that match. Those 2 shots were impeccably well done. Like impeccably well done. And those are the things that I think used to get lost in the sauce, because if the old guys would have been charged, you'd have got 97 camera cuts during Logan up on top of the ring post. And instead, you got this super dope spinning camera that followed through the shot. Perfect.
real quick. All right. So
Yeah.
there's the only thing you could ever delete is a promo.
Okay.
And
Where do
since we're running late, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to you push the trash can,
push where? Oh.
and then I will
okay.
click the thing. You could also do it over
Okay.
here, but I did it over here, and then click trash can again.
Gotcha.
Once you click the trash can, make sure you click it again, because if you don't, you'll just start deleting stuff, and that would be bad.
And then you'll go into a pain.
Then
I would go into.
you got to find out, and it's difficult. You got to find out what you deleted and make sure you get it back in,
and write
and then you have to explain to people why you accidentally did it.
and write a letter asking for forgiveness later. Right?
No, you have to go down to the other side of the stall and get on your knees and beg.
Oh, there is no forgiveness. There's only flogging. That's how that works. Which, if you're into it, it may be pleasure. I don't know.
And we do the opposite of paid suspensions. You have to do an unpaid working.
Yeah.
Welcome to radio, baby. It's ruthless. Yeah! Damn it! Really? Rob, one show in. Yeah! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The third hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. It is 1-0 great one on the who forgets to turn on their mic before they scream into it
I
later
won
on.
last week.
No, you did not.
Yeah, I did.
What are you
Absolutely
talking
won.
about? No, you did
There
not.
was only one.
Bro, you had like 3 on the
Dude,
last day, dude.
Dude, no, I did not. There was
Yes,
only,
you
There was
did.
only one the entire week, and that was you on
That is
Thursday.
absolutely wrong.
Okay, prove it.
Well, I can't do that because I'm too lazy to go back and rewatch.
It's my word against yours, and I'm older. That means I win.
That don't mean a damn thing,
It does.
Angel Hernandez.
Wisdom.
Not how that works at all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The third hour of the Rob Brown Show begins right now. The Rob Brown Show that welcomes in a new day, baby. Is Angel Hernandez is gone. Am I going to talk about it more this show? Yeah, I am. Am I going to do it right now? No, I'll probably put it on the back burner for just a little while longer, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to mention it and reference it and at least gloat for just mere seconds once an hour at the very minimum. At the absolute very minimum. I'm going to bring that up. All right. I've got a lot of stories coming up in this hour of the show. And because we were off yesterday, we're going to have John Blau join us coming up this morning at 8:40, kind enough to postpone his interview for one day because, again, I was very much not awake yesterday at 8:40 when we usually have him, but John Blau is going to join us at 8:40 this morning to talk Clemson baseball as they are going to be hosting a regional starting on Friday. They get High Point in game number 1, and then they get the winner of Coastal and Vandy in round 2. The last 2 times that Vanderbilt has come to town in the regional, Clemson has been eliminated. In fact, Clemson is 0 for 5 in advancing in their last 5 regionals as a host. So we will see if Eric Bakich is able to break that streak for the Tigers this year, but it will be a tough task with a very good battery of pitching coming down from Vandy. The good news is you don't catch their ace in game number 1. The bad news is if they are able to push you to a second elimination game in the double elimination format, then you will get their ace in the elimination game. And that ain't great, Bob. That ain't great. So we'll talk about that coming up later on in the radio show at 8:40 with John Blau from the Post and Courier. Let's get to a bunch of other stories from around the league. Let's start with this one. Ronald Acuna Jr., the reigning, defending, undisputed National League most valuable player, is done for 2024. The Bravos currently find themselves sitting second in the NL East, a full 6 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, because I am, as always, the bright, shining light of optimism that so many of you need in your lives to get through these hectic mornings.
I still haven't gotten the choir yet. I got to remember to get, because the choir would have been perfect right there.
Yes, it would have. Yes, it would have. Just imagine it in your heads.
Yeah, I'd do it, but it would be too angelic.
That's fair. You want to show up every choir in the world. The Bravos do have one silver lining. It is that the Philadelphia Phillies have played one of the easiest opening slates in baseball ever. So yes, they are well up on top of the Braves. 6 games, as a matter of fact, with a 38-17 record. But the Phillies now are on a 2-game losing streak. They lost to the Rockies. In fact, they dropped the series to Colorado 2-1. And then yesterday, they got beat by the San Francisco Giants. Granted, a good Giants team that had Blake Snell on the bump, despite the fact that Blake Snell has sucked this year. And not like a little. Like Blake Snell has been real bad this year. But the Phillies dropped 1 to San Francisco yesterday. They dropped 2 out of the 3 to Colorado. The Phillies have now dropped 3 out of their last 4. Their only win, an 8-4 win on the road in the middle of the series against the Pebbles late last week. So the door is opening. The door is opening because, as I have mentioned time and time again, the Phillies are going to come back down to earth. I'm not going to say crashing down to earth because they are a good baseball team, but they are going to find themselves slowly getting reeled in. They've got 2 more with the Giants, a 3-gamer against the St. Louis team that got hot against the Chicago Cubs over the past few days, a 3-game set against the Milwaukee Brewers, who are a contender for their division, 2 games against the New York Mets, and then listen to this. 3 games against Baltimore, 3 games against Boston, 3 games against San Diego, 3 games against Arizona, 3 games against the shockingly good Detroit team. The schedule is about to get a lot rougher for the Philadelphia Phillies. The Braves had the door open because not only is the season about to get a lot rougher for a good Phillies team, but on top of that, if you're the Braves, you had a 3-game set against the Pittsburgh Pirates. You dropped it on its head 2-1. You got fortunate to win the last one in that series. Then you got a 3-game set against the DC Nationals. And what do but go out and drop an 8-4 decision in game number 1? That's not great either, Bob. So it's not a super good look for Atlanta right now. And then on top of all of that, you find out that Ronnie Acuna Jr., in a fake move for a fake steal in Saturday's game against Pittsburgh, popped his ACL and is shut down for the remainder of the 2024 season. Now, my gut reaction, aside from being sick for Ronnie, who has struggled with knee injuries throughout his career, you will all remember that Ronald Acuna Jr. was not on the roster when the Braves won the 2021 Major League Baseball World Series. Ronnie wasn't available, but I'm not going to be one of those fans that was desperate for a silver lining on Saturday and went, wait a minute, Ronnie didn't play when we won our last one, so, we're good, right? The dude was not this year. But coming into this year, one of the best baseball players on planet Earth. You do not get better by losing one of the best baseball players on planet Earth. That's just a fact. So what do you do? Well, the good news is Alex Anthopoulos has been the general manager of the century in Major League Baseball. Alex Anthopoulos and the moves that he made leading up to the 2021 World Series, which meant going out and getting a Jock Peterson, making sure you had a Jorge Soler on that roster. Alex Anthopoulos has been here. He's played this game. He's played and he's won this game during his tenure as the GM of the Atlanta Braves. And he is still in charge. Nobody made the move to pay him $1 billion to come be their GM. So Atlanta still got him in the bullet, in the chamber. And that's a good news. So what does Atlanta do here? Well, they got two moves. Number one, they can just lean in and hope that there is somebody on the roster that is going to step up. That's what happened when Ronald Acuna Jr. went down in the 2021 season. They made some moves. As I mentioned, they went and got a guy like Jock Peterson, who was able to fill in on the outfield and bring a bat to the lineup while wearing that pearl necklace, because he's a bad if you ask him. So maybe there's somebody out there like that. Like, I don't know, Jock Peterson. I'm going to go ahead and tell the Braves fans, you're not getting Jock Peterson back. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be cool. He's proven himself to be a clubhouse leader, but he's also batting north of 300 for a team that is a contender right now. And it would take you probably more than you want to get Jock Peterson, who is batting 330 again, to get him up out of a position where he is a contender in Arizona. So I don't think he's the guy. But I did think, all right, let's it's almost trade deadline time, right? We're a little over a month and some change away from the middle of the from the MLB season, from the All-Star break, and frankly, from the trade deadline. So what do the Bravos do to replace the bat, to replace the defense of Ronald Acuna Jr.? There's a handful of players out there that I'm going to keep an eye on, because not only do I think that they could fit into the lineup, none of them to be a one-for-one replacement for Ronald Acuna Jr., but they would be good enough to give the Braves a little bit of life in the outfield. The first thing that you could look at would be moving Jared Kelenic out to right field. Kelenic has been platooning alongside Adam Duvall out in left field. And realistically speaking, both of those guys are traditionally better as platoon players, not as guys that you are asking to play 19 out of every 20 baseball games. But Kelenic's been okay. Kelenic's been okay. You know, you were really hoping that he was going to come out and be an all-star this year. You were really hoping that Kelenic was going to come be a stud this year. He's batting .258. It's not awful. He's played 40 games He's 31 for 120 with 41 runs scored. He is sitting on a season average right now that is hovering somewhere in the neighborhood of like 260. It's not great, but I also do wonder, and I think it's fair to, would that average come up if he got more plate appearances? Would that average come up if he was playing consistently and not rotating in and out of the lineup with Adam Duvall? And I think it's probably fair to ask the same of Adam Duvall, who was the only Bravo to go Yad yesterday in the 8-4 loss to DC. So I think platooning, or I should say ending the left field platoon, moving Kelenic out to right, leaving Duvall in left, and leaving Money Mike in the middle might be the best move. But here's some guys that are outside the organization that might end up coming in. One of them is Jesse Winker from Washington. Jesse Winker's a good player. Jesse Winker, last couple of seasons, had a 2-season average of 264. It's not overwhelmingly impressive, but it is also widely considered by those who know ball to be very disappointing for Jesse Winker. And the belief is that much like Chris Sale in Boston, Jesse Winker getting out of the situation he's in on a bad DC team and getting placed into a lineup where he is not an emphasized player by bad guy teams might bring that number back up. I also believe that Winker was brought up to the DC Nationals because they knew he was going to be trade deadline bait down the line. The Braves have been rebuilding the farm system as of late. They're gonna have the resources for a guy like Jesse Winker. I'll give you another one. What about Brian De La Cruz from Miami? The Marlins have already shown that they are making moves to start siphoning off players. Luis Arraez has already been sent out to the San Diego Padres. De La Cruz has been a guy that's been on the breakout candidate list for a couple of years now. Right now, he's been a very league average batter since his rookie season. But over the last couple of years, the Braves have brought in a number of guys into the outfield in the ATL who saw their numbers skyrocket once they got there. Brian De La Cruz could be one of those guys. It's a risk, but he could. How about Brent Rooker from the Oakland Athletics, a 30-year-old? So you got a guy that's a little bit up there in age, but he came over to make last year's All-Star game. The only Athletic who did, if I recall correctly. He is 286 right now with 11 home runs over 42 games. He is absolutely a boom or a bust guy right now. He is striking out in 33% of his plate appearances so far, according to CBS Sports. But when he's not striking out, he's getting you XBH, extra base hits. And it's Oakland. You know as well as I do that Oakland is the only team in Major League Baseball actively trying to be bad. The Angels aren't trying to be good. There's a few teams that aren't trying to be good. Oakland's the only team that's actively trying to be bad. You got Sean Murphy out of Oakland. You got Matt Olson out of Oakland. Maybe you can get one more. How about a kid from the LA Angels? Because, again, they suck. How about Taylor Ward out of LA? Taylor Ward is a guy that is playing for a team that, let's be real, even if Mike Trout was to come back, he won't, is like a number of years away. There is no reason to keep this guy. Now, he is another 30-year-old. He is a guy that is going to hit free agency at the end of the year. So even if you bring him in, you're bringing him in as a rental piece. But can we be straight up for a minute? The 2021 World Series won by the Atlanta Braves was won by rental pieces. It was won by bringing in mercenaries to play the back half of the season. They did, and it worked. Taylor Ward right now is batting .275 through 52 games. And let me give you one more name, and then we'll run to our break. This is a guy that I'm not a huge fan of. This is a guy I think is temperamental. I think is emotional. I think he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And unfortunately, the majority of those times, the emotions are negative. This is also a man who once open hand slapped another player on a field over a fantasy football dispute. Right now, playing for the Chicago White Sox is Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham has only played in 32 games so far this season. That's only like 10 or 11 games that he's missed for the White Sox so far. But he's batting .313 in 137 plate appearances. He is a little older. He is going to be 37 years old next March. Here's the thing. He won't be on this team next March. This is a one-year rental. Tommy Pham was brought into the Chicago White Sox because they got him on the cheap, and he was another guy that is trade deadline bait to rebuild a very bad White Sox team. Tommy Pham has been traded at each of the last 2 trade deadlines. He is my number one candidate to be traded at this trade deadline as well. Of the players listed, Taylor Ward and Tommy Pham are on the wish list to step in and replace a busted Ronald Acuna Jr. That's where I think the Braves go. What are your thoughts? 71307 is the text line. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, or call us on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas Fan Phone at 844-326-3663, 844-FAN-FONE. I want your thoughts, Braves fans. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, one more live read and we're coming back. Y'all stay right there for me, please, and thank you. The Rob Brown Show continues on. Robin Lonzo with you this Tuesday. That's actually kind of a Monday morning. I have a question for you, great one. Just because I'm genuinely curious as to where you might fall on this. Why are we all pretending like Draymond Green is just this like super normal great dude? Why is Draymond Green everywhere? Why is he pimping cars during breaks? Why is he on every Studeday show?
I have a question. Why are we pretending like Tom Brady's a super nice dude? Why are we pretending like all this stuff? It's just what happens. I mean, Tom Brady, a known cheater, but everyone's okay with him being. And now, was he violent? Yes. If you're an iPad, you don't like Tom Brady, and nor should you, because if you're an iPad and you're Tom Brady, you're dead because he's going to kill you. So I think the question you're going to ask is about someone you don't like. And I think you can throw in some comparisons about people you do like, and you kind of letting that go.
I will start with this. If there are any iPads listening right now that would like to push back against Tom Brady, you're welcome to text in iPads. I'm not talking about people operating iPads. I'm talking about iPads specifically. I will say number 2. Lonzo has seen me bowling before. And Lonzo knows that when Rob Brown is having a, let's say, not great night on the lanes, there is the potential for a Rob Brown hat. And by the way, I love my hats. I'm a big hat guy. If you've ever watched any of my streams, you see I legitimately probably have north of 100 hats in the collection right now. If I have a crap night bowling, one of those hats is getting absolutely Gronk spiked into the turf.
He has perfected the
Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, Spurrier for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can see it. There's a windup usually involved, so you know to get out of the way. Don't want to lose an eye or a finger or a groin from the hat throw because it's pretty violent.
Don't want to lose a groin. The point here is, I am fine with the concept of spiking inanimate objects. I am also going with, did Tom Brady cheat? Sure. But I'm also going to say, I guarantee that is not an unfamiliar practice across the National Football League.
I see no difference between Tom Brady and Draymond Green.
You don't.
I don't.
When's the last time Tom Brady stomped a man in his chest? When's the last time he threw a backwards spinning heel punch to hit a dude in the chin? When's the last time that he shoved guys into the basket? When's the last time Tom Brady quite literally sucker punched a teammate in the jaw?
All right, so what someone would consider sin, someone would consider evil, others would consider just bad deeds. Bad deeds of both about the same.
Not a chance.
Bad deeds.
No.
Yes, definitely bad deeds.
No, I'm gonna say no.
A drunken Tom Brady threw the Lombardi in the ocean. I mean, he threw it across the ocean. Luckily, there were people there who had better hands than him. I mean, I don't see that much of a difference between the two.
You don't see the difference.
And I will also tell you, I'd rather listen to Draymond Green any day because he's more entertaining. He's got a better voice. And who knows, depending on how things go, may have a longer career in broadcasting.
All right, so a couple of things. Let's start with this. I'm not even going to push back on the fact that Draymond Green is entertaining. Draymond Green is entertaining. I hate to admit it. I really wish he sucked at media, but he's actually figured it out.
And unlike Tom Brady, he has a beautiful smile.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's put Draymond Green and Tom Brady up on the list of dudes that women want to be with and see who comes out ahead on that one.
I talked about a beautiful smile. Listen, he also did commercials for Invisalign. So, I mean, not only is his smile beautiful, he got paid because his smile is beautiful.
If you don't see the difference between the, let's say, antics of these two athletes.
Antics. Okay. All right.
You're right. I should use a different word than antics for a man who sucker punches his own teammates in the face. That is worse. That is objectively worse.
First of all, that guy had it coming.
Stop it. Now you're just being ridiculous.
No, I'm not being ridiculous. How the guy was, should you ever walk up? I know it's going to be hard to believe. There's been some employees I wouldn't mind having done that.
Yeah. Did you?
No.
Thank you.
Right. Because
so
it's
not okay.
Because we're not in sports.
It's okay
you are
in sports.
It's
you're
okay.
in sports right now.
I don't know why you're getting all animated because I cannot match your energy or I'll die.
I need you to relax because I'm not worried about your
Wow.
voice right now.
Wow.
What I'm worried about is that you're going to pull a hamstring. You're going to ruin a groin with the mental gymnastics that you're performing right now.
Also, I'm not smart enough to do what I'm doing right now.
Lonzo,
'Cause
if tomorrow
I could do it with,
No.
my
See,
eyes
you're
closed.
doing that thing where you're making yourself out to be accused of something that I didn't say.
I am forever.
This has
the victim.
nothing to do with your intelligence. It has everything to do with your bending over backwards to go after Brady and excuse Draymond. Here's the thing.
You mean like you're bending over backwards to go after Draymond?
I am bending over backwards to go with the guy who has, at least that I can remember off the top of my head, 4 different incidents where he physically accosted a teammate or a member of the league.
By the way, I'm
4.
too older to bend over backwards. I'd be in traction.
I hurt myself saying bend over backwards, so I get it. I got to tell you, I am a little shocked every single game when I turn on the TV for the NBA playoffs, and that's going to come to its conclusion tonight.
I don't think that's it. I think it bothers you that you're entertained by Draymond Green and you don't want to be.
No.
That's what I think this is. If he was horrible, then you could have a blast with it, but he's not. He's pretty good, and I think that bothers you.
No. You know what it is? It is Ray Lewis Broadcasting is what it is. It's Ray Lewis Broadcasting.
I get what you're saying from that standpoint, but here's the difference. Draymond Green is better than him. Draymond Green is really good.
Is not a better broadcaster than Ray Lewis was a linebacker. He's not a better broadcaster.
We're talking
than Ray Lewis
about
was a linebacker.
broadcasting. He's definitely a better broadcaster.
All right.
For sure, without a doubt.
So here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is a guy who this season, this isn't like a man who back in 2016 had a temper and he's grown up and he's changed. Because again, I'm a big second chance guy. 100% I'm a second chance guy. I'm also a guy who says second chances are earned, not distributed. This is a guy who this year had 2 separate incidents where he physically assaulted, not a basketball move that went wrong, like Rudy Gobert kneeing Derek Lively in the back of the head. But this year in the season, Draymond Green stomped on a man's chest, Domantas Sabonis, and he threw a spinning back. I didn't mean to do it. Bull crap, dude. That's not an oopsie move. A spinning back heel that would have flattened a regular person, not once, but twice this season, to the point that the NBA itself had to hit him with an unprecedented non-defined suspension while he went to freaking anger management therapy.
All right. I have what I believe is a legitimate question because I don't know the answer to it. Hockey players. Are there hockey players who actually talk on microphones? Because they're glorified for fighting. So if any of those guys throws a punch, according to how they should not be allowed to talk on a microphone.
You don't understand
right?
the difference between hockey and basketball, and the worlds in the worlds they exist in. Hockey is fighting is part of that game.
There's a skill level.
Is
I
it involved
understand.
in a basketball game? No,
Yeah,
never has been.
apparently.
Literally never has been.
Okay, I'm just saying, if those guys are allowed those guys throw a punch and then they come on the air, then how are they any different than Draymond?
Because it's hockey and basketball, the same as deflating a football is not the same as jacking
Baseball
a
players
teammate in the
and
jaw.
any baseball brawls where they are supposedly fighting, if those guys throw a punch, should they be allowed to come on the microphone?
I have no problem saying no. None. In fact, we're going to get to it because there was an unwritten rule
Should
of
Dennis
baseball
Rodman
fight.
ever been allowed to talk?
To be legitimate, when he's kicking camera dudes in the nuts, no, we shouldn't have been celebrating him at the time. We do now because of the wacky and the Carmen Electra and all that.
And he's NWO for life.
Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack, son. Why are we pretending Draymond Green is just a normal dude? Why are we pretending that a guy who should have multiple times in his career caught charges, legitimate jail time? If I walked over because Lonzo said something and cold cocked him in the jaw like Draymond did, I'd go to jail.
By the way, I believe Tom Brady was suspended longer than Draymond's all combined.
The point here is I turned on my TV last night, and who do I see smiling as if he is just a regular old dude?
Such a pretty smile.
But guy who punches his own teammates, stomps chest, and throws reversed hammer fist into the face of opponents, and we're all just pretending he's totally normal? Why? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live read and we're back. Stay right there for me. BRB. Memorial Day. Ordinarily on Mondays, we are joined at 8:40 by John Blau of the Post and Courier, who covers Clemson athletics and chats a little Tiger sports with us. Ever so kind to make the shift to join us here today and make good on all of us being lazy and sitting around and doing nothing yesterday. It was excellent. John Blau joins us here on the show. What's up, John? How we feeling, bud? How was the long weekend?
It was good. How are you, Rob?
Doing very well. But I appreciate it. Let's dive right in. And I don't particularly, John, want to spend a ton of time, I don't know about you, on the ACC baseball tournament, because honestly, I think with the setup of pool play, it to me, it just kind of takes like the excitement out, right? Like you can have a bad game, as Clemson did, dropping one by a run to Miami, and then you don't even get a crack to make good on it, like the double elimination tournament of the SEC. So that one, I mean, the difference between Clemson playing for a semifinal and going home after 2 games was quite literally 1 run to the Miami Hurricanes. Just your thoughts on a whole as their performance in the ACC baseball championship tournament.
Yeah, and Eric Beck just talked about he doesn't really like pool play as well, and for that reason, I mean, you can lose 1 game and it's over. And obviously, Clemson lost by a catch at the wall on what would have been a 2-run home run to put them ahead. So I mean, it's it was good for them though to get that comeback win the next day against Louisville, to have a walk to win it 8-7, just to kind of get a little bit of that mojo back. The 24th comeback win of the year. It's a team that just always battles back. Obviously, they've had some inconsistencies in terms of pitching, and that reared its head again during the ACC tournament. But to get a win, not to go 0-2, to get a national seed like they did, they headed into the postseason with a little bit of some good juice, and I think that was important.
Yeah, no, completely agreed. And not only do they get that 8 seed, but obviously they are going to be one of the regional sites in the regional round of the NCAA postseason tournament as a whole. Of course, they've got High Point coming to town, Coastal coming to town, and Vanderbilt going to town. Of course, this is a Vandy team that a couple of years back came to Clemson 2 years in a row and knocked them out of the regional, but it is also part of a 5 regional streak where Clemson did not advance despite being the host. What, if anything, can Clemson do to make this regional different, to make sure that they get the opportunity this year to move out of their own regional and get to the Supers?
Yeah, I think it comes down to pitching. I mean, obviously, again, I was talking earlier about the inconsistencies there. I need somebody more than just Aiden Canuck to have a good effort to be able to help them, obviously, A, get into the winner's bracket, and then B, stay in the winner's bracket. And so who's that going to be? Whether that's going to be Ethan Darden, who, was pretty consistent in terms of getting into the 5th, 6th, 7th inning for several weeks. In the last couple outings, just hasn't been as productive, hasn't been able to stay in games. Tristan Smith, he had the ankle injury since he's come back. Just hasn't quite been able to really push through. I think he's gotten to, the 4th inning a couple times recently, but really hasn't gotten past that. They need their starting pitching to kind of, put down some teams. Obviously, High Point, probably not as prolific, but Vanderbilt, Coastal, these are teams that can score a lot of runs. You're going to need to be able to have sufficient starting pitching to kind of bridge the gap, and so you're not overstressing your bullpen. That's going to be really key, because I think we've seen that this Clemson team can score runs. I mean, it might not happen in the first 2 or 3 or 4 innings. Eventually, they're going to score runs, but they have to be able to make it so that they don't get behind. They don't have to really play this game of rallying every single time and need better pitching performances.
John Blau from the Post and Courier joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Clemson getting prepared to host their regional. We leaned a lot on pitching, and John, I'm not sure how much you've gotten the opportunity to check in on and follow the Vanderbilt Commodores. Obviously, that right now being discussed nationally is kind of the Clemson bugaboo as far as this regional goes. And this is a team that is built up of very good pitchers who have been hitting their stride coming through the SEC tournament and heading into this postseason tournament. If that is the case, if Vanderbilt's going to enter this thing with one of the hotter pitching units in NCAA baseball, is answering it with better pitching the best option for Clemson?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Vanderbilt's just a team that they're a perennial power. They obviously didn't have a great year this year. I think they were 13-17 in conference, but Eric Bakich helped with Tim Corbin build that thing into what it was. They're going to have really talented arms. That's like no doubt you're gonna face that. But yeah, like we were saying, I mean, Clemson has to be able to keep this, within your offense, being able to get 4 to 5 to 6 runs to win a game. Like you can't have to score a 10 to come out with a win, because you don't know if you're going to be able to get that, because you're going to face, again, a Vanderbilt team that's got some guys that are going to be able to throw it and throw some hard stuff, some stuff with some breaking pitches that are pretty nasty. I mean, they're going to have guys with stuff. So you're going to have to answer with, some pretty good stuff of your own. And again, I feel pretty confident that Aiden Canuck can do it. We've seen that consistently for him, even though he obviously had to take that 1 week off against Louisville. So a little fatigue. We've seen that from him. It's just whether you're going to have guys like Darden locating, not having his stuff up in the zone, getting home runs hit on him. Tristan Smith, is he going to be able to not labor as much in terms of, putting guys on and then getting really stressed and having to come out early? Can they get some consistent pitching to at least keep them in the game? Because, it's not going to be as easy as it has been probably scoring against a team like Vanderbilt.
We are talking, of course, with John Blau from the Post and Courier here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So all that being said, John Blau, if I asked you right now your confidence level that Clemson can get out of this regional for the first time in 5 tries, what's your thoughts?
I think it actually sets up pretty well. Again, I know we're talking about Vanderbilt being a really talented team, but and playing better, towards the end of the year. But hey, again, as a Vanderbilt team that kind of underachieved a little bit, Clemson maybe in ways overachieved in terms of the way they're able to start 28-3 and win all these comeback wins, and they have that resilience. Again, that kind of never quit attitude. I think that gives them a pretty good shot. Coastal Carolina is a team that was kind of on the bubble. I mean, obviously, it's a talented team as well. They can score a lot of runs. They're going to be fighting for Gary Gilmore, wanting to send him out on a good note. But again, these are two teams that really didn't achieve the level you thought they would. They're dangerous, but, Clemson has had the ability for most of the year to kind of battle and win games, as long as, again, they get the pitching that I think that they're capable of getting. They can top a Coastal Carolina and a Vanderbilt and advance. But obviously, we'll see. Anything can happen in baseball, but I do think there's a good chance that Clemson's got a shot to host Super Regionals next week as well.
All right, real quick before we let you go, John, as we get set up for the regionals, Brad Brownell still moving. I know it's a news that's a little bit old now, but it happened after we wrapped up our interview last week. Another transfer portal pickup for Brad Brownell and the Tigers. This time the 6'7", 235-pound Miles Foster, who comes over from the Redbirds, entered the portal on April 2nd, spent some time in there before he selected Clemson. Ultimately, what can you tell us about this pickup and how he fits into what Brad Brownell is using the portal to try to build for next season?
Yeah, another experienced player, obviously a grad transfer. I think he played 3 years in Monmouth and then played a 4th at Illinois State and had that extra 5th year, came to Clemson. But basically replaces what you lost with R.J. Godfrey, a guy who's around 6'7", 6'8", plays in the paint. It's going to get you some rebounds. It's going to be gritty, physical. I think Foster averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds a game last year at Illinois State. But obviously gives that advantage, though, of where RJ was kind of a developing player. This is a developed player who's played a lot of minutes, obviously, against smaller schools, Monmouth and Illinois State, but he's played a lot. I wouldn't necessarily anticipate he's going to start. Obviously, Ian Shefflin's the starting 4, but gives you some more versatility. A guy who's going to play a lot of minutes off the bench and basically completes that front court for you and that roster for you, because you really expect Chase Hunter to come back at the point, and that's your 13th scholarship right there. So, they got 4 guys in the portal, all experienced. It's going to guarantee that Clemson has a very experienced team. Again, next year has a chance to fight to get to the NCAA tournament, maybe make another run and keep the momentum going and kind of, it's a well-rounded roster, a versatile roster if you look at everything you're able to get, and Foster kind of adds to that.
All right, one more, and then we'll let you go, John Blau. And this one, I know you don't love to get too deep into the editorial side of things, but I will ask your opinion, and feel free to tell me to hang up and move on if you want. I have said I am done on this show talking about Dabo Swinney and the transfer portal. I don't want to mention it anymore. I know he's the only Power 5 school, really the only college school that's not a military academy to not take a transfer portal player. That has been browbeaten into the ground, and I'm done talking about it on the show. And the reason why is because Dabo's not going to change, and we're going to learn this year. Either the system's going to succeed or it's going to fail, right? Like NIL and the portal have been around long enough that I don't think it's a new day in college football is a verifiable excuse anymore. If Dabo succeeds at the end of this year, great. He can rub it in everybody's face. We all move on. But if he fails and Brad Brownell continues to succeed with transfer portal success, do you think it sets up an awkward conversation for Graham Neff and Dabo Swinney at the end of next football season?
Interesting. I mean, obviously, basketball's a little different just because there's obviously only 5 guys to complete a starting lineup, and a lot of these guys are shifting around. And also the difference between the two programs is, what Dabo will point out is we're able to get those 5 and 4-star talents, and we're able to bring in guys that when we compare them to the guys that are available via transfer, we like this high school guy better in developing them. Brad Brownell's obviously in a little bit of a different situation. He's not able to get the 4 and 5-star recruits that Duke and Kansas and all of them are able to get. So he has to go and get those experienced transfers, kind of supplement his roster and kind of build that way. So they're obviously two coaches in 2 different sports in 2 very different positions. But like you said, yeah, I mean, Dabo is Dabo. He believes in this strategy. I think he really believes that he can out-coach, out-develop, out-recruit, and that if he can get the best player, the best prospect available, that normally being a high school guy, if he can develop them into what they can ultimately be, then they're going to have a really good roster year in and year out. It's just the question is, can they actually do that? Because you obviously are operating with a slimmer margin if you're not going and adding those 4th, 5th year guys from the transfer portal. So, I think this year, though, is going to be really prescient in terms of kind of where they're at, because obviously they got a lot of young talent that they've identified. Peter Wood, TJ Parker, obviously Kate Klubnik, the quarterback. A lot of these guys are coming up and kind of hitting a point that you want to see them be stars and lead Clemson back to the playoff. If they don't do that this year, then there's going to have to be, some soul searching in terms of are they identifying the right guys and can they again go to the portal and get some guys. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic between the 2 coaches, but obviously different situations between Brownell and Swinney.
Phenomenal answer from John Blau of the Post and Courier. He joins us on Mondays. It's kind of Monday today, but he joins us on Mondays at 8:40 to talk Clemson sports. John, my man, thank you very much, big dog. Great stuff.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Rob.
You know it. John Blau from the Post and Courier. You can follow him on Twitter at JON_Blau, BLAU. If you want to, I want to listen to Lonzo read another incredible sports flash.
And I want to say prescient because it's the only time I'll ever say it.
Good word.
The Atlanta Braves suffered 2 bad losses this weekend. Yesterday, the Braves dropped an 8-4 game in D.C. against the Nationals. Charlie Morton got rocked, giving up 12 hits and 8 earned runs in 5.2 innings. The Braves offense had 8 hits, including an Adam Duvall 2-run shot in the 7th. But Atlanta wasn't able to climb back into the game. The loss came hours after it was announced that reigning NL MVP Ronald Acuna Jr. will miss the remainder of the season with a torn ACL. Controversial MLB umpire Angel Hernandez has announced his retirement from the game. The 62-year-old, who has been an umpire since 1991, reached a settlement with MLB to call it a career. Hey, make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a lot of fun. It's all Wire to Wire. I can't take any medicine while I'm at work because even anything that's non-drowsy, just it takes my edge for one thing, or it makes me sleepy. So I can't. So when I get home, I'll take some. I've found a couple things at work that will dry it up some, but I can't do it at work.
I
But
wasn't doing that look toward you. I'm just doing that.
you looked unhappy with your snack choice. And
Well, I thought I picked up just a bag of I went by Quick Trip. There's one right there where I get on the Interstate at 26, right near my house. And I thought I picked up. I mean, it's 4 something in the morning. I'm normally not up that early.
yeah, most people normally are not up, so I get it.
And I thought I picked up a little bag of like just the sunflower kernels, like no shells or nothing. Guess what I got?
You got shells, so now
Yep.
you'd have to.
Normally, I wouldn't be unhappy about that, but
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea with radio because probably going to hear that more than likely.
well, no, that's why I was like, man, if it was just the kernels,
Yeah,
I
you could
just go like this.
you could spit the shells at Rob though. He's good at ducking. He does need some practice
Quick.
though.
But that's why I made that face because I'm like, keep going. You picked the wrong one.
Yeah, we're used to anger in radio. It's everybody looks mad, don't we? Me and Rob are ticked beyond belief right now.
I have a joke, and I'm going to keep it myself.
Yeah, we're just pretending like we're having a good time. We're not really.
No, never.
Ever.
Hate this job. It's
Yeah,
the worst thing I've
it's
ever done
just
for money.
Horrible.
There's a morning show I watch on cable network to do with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how one of the co-hosts is going to react to the Angel Hernandez news. Coming up shortly. he's this person's big on the robo umps.
Another one of those.
I want to see them use the challenge system first. You know.
What's up,
Nope.
Leslie?
I want to see them do that first.
Nope. Just go to RoboUmps. Why do we have to half-ass it? Just go straight to a thing that you know works already. Why do we need to lean into it? Just do it.
Well, now if we can just get CV and Laz Diaz out.
Go to RoboUmps. They will be.
What about on the bases?
Same thing. Put a camera on every base. It's not that hard. Put a camera on every base. You got one guy up at the front with a 900-inch TV, and he just goes, he's out, and the umpire goes, yeah, you don't have to take the umpires off the field. You can still have them out there doing their funny little dances. It's not that hard. It's really not.
Little dances. Ooh. Check it out, yo.
Check it out.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Thanks for asking. Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the final hour of the Monday edition of the Rob Brown Show on a Tuesday. It is the Fan Upstate. Great to have you, Robin Lonzo, with you. For those of you that maybe you fell asleep early last night, maybe you took it on to bed a little early, you knew you had to get up and work for the first time in like 6 months today. Maybe you knew that when you got to the office after the 3-day that there was going to be a big old stack of paperwork you had to knock into. So you went and you laid your head down to get that angelic slumber before becoming the hard worker that you all are today.
Girl.
I mean, probably not,
You cannot fool with anybody.
but like maybe
Yeah,
you did. Maybe you did.
We know.
I didn't. I was on the radio till 11 o'clock last night. You're welcome. So
Overachiever. What, do you want a pat on the back?
I'm just saying, no off days. There ain't no off season. There ain't no off days. All right. Maybe you went to bed a little early. Maybe you missed it. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is my joy, it is my honor, it is my privilege to let you know that Angel Hernandez is not a Major League Baseball umpire anymore.
My loins have been tingling.
Free at last, baseball fans. Free at last. One of the worst things to ever happen to Major League Baseball is no longer happening to Major League Baseball. Angel Hernandez was so bad at his job that yesterday evening, once it was announced that he was no longer going to be a member of that team, once it was announced, I popped on social media. Why? Because I wanted to celebrate with all my friends. So I popped on social media, and lo and behold, less than 9 minutes after MLB legendary reporter Bob Nightingale put it out there on the internets that Angel Hernandez was, quote, retiring, end quote, he was the number one trending topic on social media. Now, granted, it was late at night on a Monday night. People were asleep. Not everybody's on social media like me and the rest of the weirdos that late into the evening because they have actual lives. Whatever. Shut up. You're not better than me.
Winning.
But Angel Hernandez was the number one trending topic on X yesterday evening. And so, of course, being the terrible human being that I am, I couldn't click on that hard enough. Click. Couldn't get to it. I thought this is going to be nothing less than hilarious. And I was right. But forget the jokes. Forget the memes.
Poof.
Forget all of the hilarity that ensued on social media. What jumped off the page at me is that on baseball Twitter, because, everything's got their own little Twitter sphere in which it exists on the interwebs. In baseball Twitter, people ordinarily have some sort of reference to their team, either in their screen name, or maybe they're wearing their favorite team's hat in their little profile picture, or it's written in their online bio.
No, come on.
I know. People like to express their fandom of their baseball teams on baseball Twitter.
Is that akin to Clemson John, Clemson Bob, Clemson Joe, Clemson
kinda,
Billy?
Kind of.
Okay, all right.
Kind of. You throw on the Braves hat or the Cardinals hat or the Cubs hat or the Dodgers hat, and maybe there's a lot of people that will do this thing where they update their screen name on the daily with they'll tag their baseball team's record at the end of it or whatever. A lot of ways people like to represent their team. The point is, when you stumble into the depths of baseball Twitter, it really doesn't take much to find out who the people tweeting are a fan of. And when Angel Hernandez caught the axe, because no, Angel Hernandez did not voluntarily retire, Major League Baseball came to him and said, yo, bro, we're kind of tired of you getting more discussion than the players playing in the baseball games that you are umpiring. So tell you what, we will pay you $2.63 buttloads of money to take your butt on up out of the game.
Feel me? For real. Do you feel him, sir?
What do you say? And Angel said, word. I head to Cancun. My wife and I heading to the beach.
You sure he didn't do the Ed Orgeron? Want to know where the door is?
I didn't tell me where the door is. I'm going to go ahead and take my $1 million. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Go Tigers. That's a real good Edo. That's a real
Always
good
is.
Edo.
That's why I suggested it.
Real good Edo.
Your skill at that particular impersonation is no one can do it better. Award winning.
Go Tigers. He took that money and ran. Woohoo! Let me tell you how excited I was, ladies and gentlemen. Let me share a very brief story with you about how excited I was. Yesterday evening on the radio program, BetMGM Tonight, filling in for the legendary Ryan Horvat, Nick Schuch, and Trista Crick, my friend Lil Tree on the show last night. When the news broke yesterday evening, we were on a break when it came through. Hayton Ass Mario was serving as the executive producer. He jumps on during the break and he goes, Rob Brown, I hope you're seated. I mean, he already knew because he could see me because we stream the show live like we do this one every single day, all 5 days per week from 6 to 10 a.m. Available at thefanupstate.com on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram and whatever else by searching The Fan Upstate and The Rob Brown Show. He said, I hope you're sitting down, Rob Brown, because you're going to love this news. Angel Hernandez just retired. And and this part is not a joke, I got up from the gaming chair. I left the bro cave. I walked to the living room, to the kitchen. I grabbed off of the kitchen counter a bottle of champagne that the lady friend had sitting out for a couple of days. I'm going to be honest with you. She had already gone to bed. To right now, this moment in my life, I don't know what that champagne was for. I don't know what she was saving it for.
That's not good. Yeah.
I'll find out.
You might have something waiting for you when you get home.
I have not gotten the yo, bro, what the text as of yet.
Maybe she didn't notice. You may have time to replace.
Probably that one, and that's the plan.
Yeah.
NGL, the plan when I did this was to go replace the bottle of champagne post today's show. But I walked out, I grabbed a bottle of champagne off the counter, a bottle of champagne that I don't know what it was being saved for, and I walked it back into the bro cave, and I took the little cork guard off, the little wire thing that goes around the top so that the cork doesn't randomly explode.
I've seen it in movies.
Yeah.
So that's actually a real thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a little wire trap that you put over the top of the cork, and then you wire it to the bottle so that in transit or in hot weather or whatever, the bottle doesn't pop open before you're ready for it to. I took that off because I was going to make, I'm not even going to call it a gimmick. I was genuinely going to, when I announced this news on the next segment, I was genuinely going to pop a bottle of champagne live on the radio broadcast. I wouldn't have drank it because that's illegal, but I was going to pop it for the gimmick, and then I was going to celebrate with that bottle of champagne once the show came to its conclusion.
That's kind of dangerous from what I've heard. I mean, you could have broken 2 or 3 of your screens or something in there. You don't want to do that, right?
Rob Brown is an expert at popping bottles.
Okay, if you say so.
As Will Smith once said back in, I believe, 1997, pop the bubbly, life is lovely, all strain, no work, no pain, okay? Big Willie style, getting jiggy with it. Nah. I
feel the need to smack somebody right now. I don't know why.
That's the opposite of Will Smith rap. We're talking positivity in our hip hop over here.
Well, and but anyway,
I get it. It's a Will Smith slapping Chris Rock joke, and I like it. Point here is I was going to make a whole shtick out of quite literally popping a bottle of champagne live on the air. I was going to then put it to the side in the freezer, and in the minute that show ended, I was going to walk to the living room, despite the fact that my fiance was in bed, and I was going to have a big old glass of Nighty Night champagne to celebrate a farewell to a legend, and I mean legend in the worst possible way. And about a minute before we came back on the air, I had taken the cork guard off of the bottle. I had set the bottle on the gaming chair betwixt my legs so that I could adjust my audio volume as I waited for the return of BetMGM Tonight, hosted by Rob Brown and John Martin yesterday evening. And as I sat there, getting progressively more excited to pop a bottle of champagne live on the air and celebrate the demise of Angel Hernandez, Lonzo, about 35 seconds before we came back on the air, that bottle of champagne popped itself. Poop goes the cork up to the ceiling, and like I had just won the damn Super Bowl, a fountain of champagne comes spewing up into the air. My Triumph warm-up kit, my blue jeans that I was wearing, my flip-flops that I had on, the gaming chair as a whole, and the hardwood floor in the bro cave. And if you've ever spilled champagne or other alcoholic beverages on any sort of hard surface, you know it's going to be sticky for 6 to 7 years after that.
Oh, wow.
Covered everything within a 2-foot radius around me in warm, mediocre champagne.
Did anyone see it?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, yes, the people watching on the stream, Mario and John and all the folks behind the scene from the BetQL Network, they all saw it.
Okay.
They all
right.
laughed hysterically. And why wouldn't you? Something like that happens
Did
to
you
one of your
get
guys.
any
It's
on
hilarious.
your laptop or your gaming system?
No, fortunately,
or
when it
anything?
happened, I was actually facing the TV because I was watching Boston Indy and I had
Okay.
pushed back from the table. So no equipment was damaged
Did you get any on the couch?
in the making of this story. Nope, it was all in my own little circle in the gaming chair. It got on me. It got on my very clean Triumph jersey. It got on my jeans. It got on my flip-flops. It got on the gaming chair. It got on the floor. And I want you to know,
Probably not the first time you spilt some form of alcohol in there.
first time I've spilt that much.
Okay. All right.
I want you all to know that on a regular day, that would entirely me off. I would have been mad as hell. I didn't want that champagne bottle opened yet. I wasn't ready to pop that bubbly. It wasn't time. I was going to do it on the air. It was going to be very funny. I was going to have a moment on the radio that could have been clipped for social media to help me grow the brand. I should have been furious, but instead, what did I do? I went, oh, well, can't pop it on the air, so whatever. And I lifted that champagne bottle, now 3/4 empty because the rest of it was on me and my chair and the floor and my sandals. And I just took a big old haul off that champagne bottle, finished it up, set it down on the counter, took the dirty towel from the shower I had taken earlier, cleaned the champagne off the floor, spun back to the camera, and celebrated the bleep out of that segment coming. I was so thrilled to hear that Angel Hernandez was calling it a career that I did not care that I spilled 75% of a bottle of champagne all over myself in the Brookhaven, had to mop at 11:45 yesterday evening, knowing I had to get up at 3:45 in the morning. I was mopping the floor, and I was not even mad because it was all worth it. Goodbye, Angel Hernandez.
I don't know if you knew this. Thanks to science, there are certain pills that you can get where you don't have that, problem.
I don't think those
I
things
just,
work on a champagne bottle.
Well, no, there's other pills. There are other ones.
I think we're talking about very different explosions here.
Premature things when you're not.
Champagne-ination?
Yeah, when you're not ready. Yeah, I mean,
I should theoretically have been furious.
I think they come in discrete packets in the mail.
Get one delivered right to your front door. Don't ask me how I know. I don't. I should have been absolutely infuriated that I had to mop it.
No, what you should have done, you should have shook it up and just let the whole thing go all over the room. I mean,
listen, I have a lot of valuable things.
I know you do. You might
Okay.
get the hats wet. It could have been a lot of things.
All I needed was to walk in here, this AM Sans laptop, and go, hey, Captain America, Chris Evans down the hall, I need a replacement laptop because Angel Hernandez got fired and I kind of ruined mine.
Wouldn't be the worst thing he's seen because, some guy in Detroit used to work here.
Rachel, Tiger Power Rachel texts the show. She said, if you think about it, Rob, it was appropriate because how many celebrations has Angel Hernandez spoiled? A lot, Rachel. A lot. Like a lot of them. So you are absolutely correct. For the record, the celebration was not spoiled. I did a full segment on that show that I got to the end of, and we went to the break, and John Martin from Memphis, Tennessee, filling in with me, looked deep into the computer, and he said to me, man, you aren't joking about this, are you? Nope. Bye, Angel Hernandez. Back after this with a whole lot of stories on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I also want it to be known that I stopped at 3 gas stations on the way in this morning just to see if any of them happened to have like party pop favors or something, because I was 100% doing it on this show too.
Who wants a party seat? I guess they wouldn't be.
Well, not at 3:45 in the morning.
Might maybe go by there on the way home.
It's too late now.
I may go find party favors, come back in here, kick open the door and just have my own one-man party while Diesel and Cole are doing
Yeah,
their
you should
show
do that
together.
while they're doing the show.
Yeah.
They're going to appreciate it because they're going to
Cole
understand.
will. Cole will get it.
Yeah,
Cole will be like,
mean,
I understand. Diesel will get mad, but Cole will understand.
That's exactly the place that I was thinking of, James. They're very discreet from what the commercials say. I mean, I don't know, but
I'm laughing at our stream. Our streaming community that we are building up slowly but surely.
too much work and it's not going to matter, but lights out.
Lights out. I do have a lot of stuff to catch up on.
It's Tuesday.
Actually, I have 1 hour to work because then I have to take my fiance's engagement ring to be repaired because she leaves tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. for her bachelorette party in Puerto Rico. So daddy's got the house to himself for 5 days.
Well, you let me know if you decided on Saturday yet or not.
I most certainly will. I actually think I'm good for it, to be honest. In fact, I know I am because the Triumph plays Sunday, so we are good for it. So I will see you Saturday evening.
Will we finally get Odie and Rob on the air together?
Chaos to ensue. Y'all may want to tune into WORD Saturday evening from 7 to 9.
You should already do that anyway.
Because you're going to have two drinking, not at the time, but two drinking Irishmen.
He doesn't drink anymore. But
You're going to have one drinking Irishman and a former drinking Irishman.
my understanding is he drank enough to
last for a while?
to cover. Yeah.
He's
yeah.
pickled.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I should absolutely be able to make it. She's out of town. No Triumph game. I don't have anything to work.
Almost made it. Almost made it. Then I don't have to talk anymore the rest of the day, probably. I just realized I think somebody else is on vacation, which makes it even harder for me to do the job that I normally would do on Tuesday, which is doing Monday and Tuesday's work. So I have to put that off or maybe not do it at all, which means I can get caught up on other stuff. I don't care how confusing that was because I understood every bit of it.
And that's all that matters.
It's like talking through your day. That's what I just did. I talked through my day. Then I'm going to go home and take some allergy medicine and try to stay awake. No, I'm going to go home, take some allergy medicine, and go to sleep. While my lawn is looking like a jungle. But, I can't be out there with this sort of thing. My wife refuses to ride the riding lawnmower because I would video it.
So you're preventing her from helping you out with the yard work.
She doesn't need to be on that thing anyway. But yeah, I absolutely will video it because we've been married for going on 31 years.
Wow.
Never. Yeah, thank you. I've never seen her be on or use a lawnmower. So because I like being outside and doing that stuff.
This reminds me of something funny, but I'll probably need to hold that.
Yep, you probably should.
You definitively need to hold that thought. Rolling on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you on a Monday morning on a Tuesday. Bill Walton passing away this weekend, and I am going to say that is, and I'm going to use a Bill Walton term here, a bummer. It's a bummer. Bill Walton was incredible. I have shared over the years, I have shared with you guys some of the broadcasters that have had an influence over who I am as a broadcaster as I sit here with you today. I have mentioned to you Buddy DiLiberto, who was the post-game host for the New Orleans Saints when Rob Brown was knee-high to a grasshopper. Buddy D was a lunatic on the air. And I kind of captured a little bit of that in my style, I think. I have mentioned some of the play-by-play guys that I have fashioned myself after for years. I think that hell, there's a little bit of Uncle Vern in there when I'm calling games. Probably the most recent influence for me, I can say, is Bill Walton. Whenever I go somewhere to do a show, and I'm talking both as a job, like when I moved up here to take this one, or if I'm going out on remote and I'm doing a show from a client who is perhaps a bit unfamiliar with me and how I operate, I point out to everyone that I do not have a traditional style of broadcasting. At least I don't think. I am loud.
Wait.
I know.
Come on, man. Come on. I think you're selling this thing wrong. You are not loud.
I am egregiously over amplified.
I have to turn things up to just come close to capturing how quiet you actually are. Yeah.
I am loud. I am a bit obnoxious. I can come off as a little bit abrasive. I'm a bit of a dork.
Wait. Come on. You are the nicest guy
I am
that any of us have ever met in our entire life.
You're not incorrect. I absolutely am.
You're nicer than even Mr. Creepy Mr. Rogers.
I aspire to be as amazing as Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross. That is my goal. I'm as quiet as Bob Ross and as kind as Mr. Rogers. I agree with all of those things. However, in a radio landscape where our job is to give out a ton of opinions every day, I can come across as a little abrasive to some people. I can't tell you the number of conversations that I've had with listeners over the years who have felt comfortable telling me, yeah, I'm not really a fan of you or your show, but after they spend an hour or two or a beer or six with me, they're like, yeah, I'm going to give you another chance because you're actually a really nice guy.
Let's still ask the question that a lot of people on the stream have asked at least once or twice a week. Why are you so mean to Lonzo?
Literally no one asked me that because I'm literally
I've
never
seen
mean to
I've seen
Lonzo.
that on the stream a bunch. Stop yelling at Lonzo. Yes, I've seen that.
Stop saying silly things like Draymond and Tom Brady are the same guy, and I won't have to.
That's my favorite segment of the day.
Yeah, I know it was. It was also your wrongest segment of the day. So, Bill Walton, I can say with all sincerity, was probably one of the most recent additions to the list of broadcasters that I can say have had an impact on my career. I didn't know a ton about Bill Walton, the broadcaster. I knew about Bill Walton, the basketball player, but I didn't know a ton about Bill Walton, the broadcaster. And then a couple of years ago, once I moved out to the East Coast, and obviously this was back when we used to be in the old time slot, specifically the noon to 3 time slot, where Robbie B didn't get out of bed till like 9 o'clock in the morning on pretty much any given day. I would stay up late and I would watch Pac-12 After Dark. And I would watch Pac-12 After Dark basketball edition, not because the Pac-12 had great basketball. Not because of all the drama that even 2-3 years ago was going on about the future of that conference. No. I would watch Pac-12 After Dark basketball because Bill Walton was a lunatic. And I loved it.
You think I take us places that was like, wow, I didn't see that going that. Bill Walton takes you on a journey, or he did, to places where if you're his broadcast partner, you have to be patient. You would have to be, because sometimes he would go places I'm like, dude, is he ever coming back around? Which usually he did, but his grasp of vocabulary, much better than mine, obviously, was so good. I mean, and his delivery and his cadence, all that kind of stuff.
Bill Walton, as Lonzo mentioned, took you on a journey, and sometimes you didn't even know that you were on the ride. Bill Walton was the play-by-play version of microdosing acid. That's who Bill Walton was, and I loved it. A number of years ago, actually the first year that I was here, I was assigned to go up to Charlotte, North Carolina, and to cover the ACC Media Days. I was relatively new to the game. I'd only been here like 3 or 4 months at that point. I was still working on, figuring out who's Greenville Rob Brown, who's upstate Rob Brown. I know who Florida Rob Brown was. I know who Louisiana Rob Brown is. I know who bitter Jacksonville Rob Brown is. Who's Greenville? Who's upstate Rob Brown? I hadn't found my place, right? I hadn't found my people. I hadn't found my crew. I didn't know who I was
yet. Are
yet.
there tapes of Bitter Brown? I need to hear some of that.
No, they have all been burned, much like Jacksonville should be.
Okay.
So I didn't really know who I was, and I got assigned to go cover the ACC Media Days, so I did. And when I was up there, I got to talking with a host of a show who is on the air in Kentucky. And he and I had followed each other on Twitter for a while because when it came out, when the press release got announced that I accepted the job here, he followed me, I followed him back. We had a couple of interactions, and I got a chance to meet him in person. And I remember the conversation very clearly. It was at the bar that is attached to the hotel where the ACC Media Days takes place. And we bumped into each other at the bar. We were both having a nice little cocktail before retiring for the evening.
Is it as nice as the hotel? Because it's a very nice hotel.
It is. It's a nice bar, too.
Okay.
It's an outside balcony bar. It's beautiful. So we were having a conversation, and I just kind of picked his brain. Now, I've been in the business at that point for 13 years. I feel like I was pretty okay at it. But I also very much believe there's always someone better and there's always something to be learned. So I got into a conversation. I said, hey, man, listen, I'm in an all new area. I'm starting a brand new show. I got an opportunity to kind of build my brand into whatever I want. What would your suggestion be? Because this guy's, he's very big in Louisville. I said, what would your suggestion be? And he said, I'm going to tell you the truth, man. The suggestion I have for you is be unapologetically yourself. Don't worry about sounding too much like a nerd. If you're a Star Wars guy, talk Star Wars. And he said specifically, if you're a wrestling guy, talk wrestling. Don't worry about anything else, because if you're genuine and kind, people will like you. Don't worry about how the general public views you. Just worry about how your people view you. And that stuck with me, but also you're a little hesitant to do that, right? It's hard to do that. You know what this market is. You know what people want and how you got to give the people what they want. So I was a little afraid of that. And then I started watching Pac-12 basketball after dark with Dave Pasch and Bill Walton. And if there has ever been in the history of sports broadcasting, if there has ever been anybody who was more unapologetically and unreservedly himself than Bill Walton, I don't know who the hell it is. And I watched that guy just be himself. I watched him call games in tie-dye t-shirts. I watched him call games in spandex unitards. I watched him take a bite out of a cupcake that the candle was still in, and the candle was still lit, and he just jammed the thing in his face hole. I listened to him go off on rants about Bob Dylan songs that had not a gosh darn thing to do with the basketball game he was calling. And yet every time something happened in the basketball game, Bill Walton could check right back in, break it down for you, and then check right back out to the verbal microdose of acid that was any given sentence out of the mouth of Bill Walton. And I can say, again, with all sincerity, that over the last few years, as I watched this happen, over the last few years, as I watched Bill Walton continuously come out and have these incredible moments where he was just disconnected, but also still weirdly entirely connected, like this one.
This is the axial tilt at what degree? 23.5 degree rotation here, right? And now, I don't know, you may think that it goes like this.
This is a piggy bank, by the way.
No, it goes like this, okay? And it's not an oval, it's an elliptical orbit here, right? And the reason that the Earth has seasons.
It's a 10-point game, right?
Right. Okay, it's free throws, right? So the reason we have seasons is because of the axial tilt. If it was straight up and down, like a saguaro, they would have no seasons. We would have no seasons.
Right.
And so we're in the seasons of love and peace and happiness and joy. And so while we're here in the Sonoran Desert, celebrating the solstice, it's all right here. It all comes together. It all rolls into one.
Hey, can I eat this?
No, that's the sun.
You will notice as Bill Walton is, by the way, correctly explaining the axial tilt of the Earth as it makes its orbit around the sun, and the reason that not only do we have 4 seasons here, but the seasons here are the opposite as they are on the other side of the very round globe in Australia, where it's hot in the summer and cold in the winter. The basketball game is happening. Dave Pash says, you know, it's a 10-point game, right? He's like, yeah, they're shooting free throws. Who cares? Which, right. Yes, exactly. If somebody's shooting free throws, that's beer run time. That's time to get an early jump on hitting the head, whatever the case is. And Bill Walton's out here explaining the axial tilt of the planet Earth during a live basketball game, and I never broke away from the television because that was Bill Walton. It just never stopped, and it was incredible. Bill Walton was a guy that taught an already aged broadcaster in Rob Brown, dog, just be yourself. Just who cares, right? They're going to like you or they're not. Don't fake anything. This is why I get mad at hot take artists and people who are fake and uninspired on the radio or on the television. Because when you are true and genuine and honest to yourself like Bill freaking Walton, it's easy to like you. Love the guy and thank Bill Walton for every tremendous memory that he shared with us as basketball fans and as people in this weird life that we all live. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Ooh, that was nearly an accident. Oops.
Joey B, that is exactly correct. And yes, I did spend some time yesterday evening watching some old Bill Walton basketball clips on YouTube. They are available, and they are a blast to watch. Also, I don't know if you've seen it now. I have to see if I can find it. But Lonzo, there is a video of young Bill Walton, and it looks like Tim Snow with the hair and the beards and the hippie clothes.
Not surprised, but still want to see it.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
When my dad first tried to teach me how to cut grass at their house,
Mhm.
he's like, you have to line the what do you call it, the deck or the wheels up or something.
There's a little thing on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
on this right. If you look down,
Yeah. He was showing me how to line that up and everything. I made a couple passes over here on the side. It seems chuckling a little bit in the distance.
My son still can't cut the grass,
And
which is why I cut his grass for him. And anyone watching, you can tell him because he knows it's the truth.
As I'm making into my second pass back up toward the house, I see him make the little subtle come here motion. I'm like, okay, what's going on? He just come here, tells me stop, and he's like, just get off. He gives me a couple, taps on the shoulder. And then he hops and takes over.
Well,
he wasn't mean or anything.
I'd be like, Cameron, you missed some. No, I didn't. He's looking all around. I was like, look down. Okay, you're standing right in the spot that you missed. And he's, I still don't see it. It's like, okay, I might have been played. I could have been played by my children doing a poor job, so I would do it. And I just now thought about that, and I respect that. Maybe they could cut the grass well, and they got me. But I was brought to my aunt's and uncle's house at an early age and taught how to do patterns, and so now I'm a pattern person.
The bad thing was I was looking, it just wasn't as straight of a line as I was hoping for.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it was a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a slightly bumpy hill. It was my first time trying to cut it on the mower, but he wasn't mad or nothing. I think he got a little laugh out of it, like.
Yeah, I got
He
mad.
gave it a shot.
I got mad because they're acting like they couldn't see that you're standing in 2 foot wide. Yeah, anyway.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show. Rob and Lonzo with you here, wrapping up the radio broadcast. Let's run through a bunch of stories that we have not gotten a chance to get to yet. We did talk a little college baseball earlier in the show. If you missed that, you can circle back around to hour number 2 of the broadcast. A good chunk of that hour was college baseball. Let's get to a couple of college football stories here. And I'll start with this one. You remember last week when I told you all that as far as I am concerned, I am going to do my darndest here on the Rob Brown Radio Show not to talk about as a topic Dabo Swinney and the transfer portal.
All right, this is twice now that you said you weren't going to talk about it because you said the same thing during John Blau, so you're not going to talk about it, right?
I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay, all right.
Instead, I'm going to talk about why I'm not going to talk about it. Part of the reason.
Yeah, but if you're talking about why you're not going to talk about it, aren't you talking about it?
No, I'm talking about not talking about it.
Okay, all right.
And if I'm not talking about it, but I'm talking about not talking about it, then I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about it, and I'm not talking about it.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah. So I gave you my rationale, my justification for not talking about it last week. The quick glance over is effectively that NIL and transfer portal is old news now. It's a new day in college football is no longer an excuse for not having put together a system that allows you to succeed. Georgia has done it. Ohio State has done it, et cetera, et cetera. And you're Clemson. You're not some raggedy little school from an FCS conference, right? So my justification is Dabo's philosophy this year is going to succeed or it is going to fail. And that is also why I've said, Clemson fans, I feel like you are obligated to define success before the season starts so that you can be held accountable for holding Dabo accountable for the end of the year, either meeting or failing to meet that success. And when I brought all of that up, I pointed out that the world was pretty split on Clemson coming into this football season, right? I pointed out that you got on one hand guys on ESPN or Fox or whatever that are saying, Paul Feinbaum, FSU has caught Clemson. Miami's knocking on the door. The big schools are leaving Clemson in the dust. And then on the flip side, you got guys like Greg McElroy, who went on the SEC net and was like, yo, y'all are, you're kind of sleeping on Los Tigres over here. They're going to have a championship caliber defense, and there's no way that Cade Klubnik has not improved from last year, right? So if they got a championship defense and Cade's better, don't be shocked if Clemson once again wins the ACC. In the Vegas odds, Florida State, as of today, is the odds-on favorite to win the ACC. I have been tracking that number. It is very slowly, but slowly creeping back towards Clemson, which means that the public money is coming in on Clemson, or Vegas has heard something about Clemson that they very much like, and they're making the early adjustment to account for it. Well, I also ran you through last week when we had these conversations, the ESPN post-spring football power rankings. And on that list, you will recall that the Clemson Tigers were checked in at number 16 in the nation. Number 16 in the nation. Well, the USA Today preseason post-spring rankings have come out at this point. And USA Today, in putting out their rankings, has Clemson checked in just inside the top 10. Just inside the top 10. The point here is that being a top 10 team at this point in college football is a good team, right? It's a good thing.
It's a playoff team.
Yeah.
Kind of, right?
I mean, at this point, this is not going to be exclusively true of everyone. But if you are a Power 4 football team this year, and you find yourself at the end of the season checked in inside the top 12 teams, you're probably going to the playoff. Because the likelihood is that if you win a Power 4 conference, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, or the Big 12, if you win a conference, you're going to be in the top 12. And so just because you get a bye by being a conference champion, it does not mean that you're going to eat up a spot. Now, that's not to say that there's no chance that down the line some weird thing happens and you have one dominant team and a bunch of crappy teams and like a 3-loss team makes it to the championship and then upsets an undefeated team, in which case this would flip it on its head. But like most of the time, your Power 3 or Power 4 conference champions are going to be inside the top 12. So being inside the top 12 pretty much makes sure that you're going to the playoffs when it rolls back around. The point here that I'm making is about half the preseason publications out there right now say that Clemson's not going to the playoffs, and about half of them do. And the reality is, as I've said a couple of times, and I hate when people do this. This is something that we've had folks do all the time. Rashad Beard does it to us every Thursday. He says, Rob, I know you're excited. I know you want to talk about the future, but we got to wait till we see it on the field. And you are correct. The only way to know what happens is to let it happen. But our job is prognostication. It is speculation. It is trying to find intrigue and interest in topics that we can't know about. For instance, Dallas, Minnesota tonight. We've given you our thoughts on this. Zoe thinks the Timberwolves get one back tonight. I'm actually willing to agree with him, but I'm a little concerned that Karl-Anthony Towns has lost a little bit of the gree-gree, a little bit of the voodoo, a little bit of the juju coming into this one. And if that turns out to be the case, I don't think they can win without him. So when it comes to this team, we won't know what this team is until this team is. We won't know. People are going to prognosticate. People are going to speculate. But you've got them split about half and half. About half the country thinks they're a playoff team and they're going to be fine, and the other half of the country is disrespecting them, and about half of the folks think that this team is cooked, that the dynasty is done, that Dabo's time is coming to an end, and it is time to remove Clemson from the hall of the juggernauts in college football. And the reality is they could both be right. Either one of them. Only one of them can be right. But there's enough argument on both sides that both of them could ultimately be right. And that, my dear, dear friends, is why I'm not going to talk about Clemson football until they're running practices, until there's spring practices, until there's pads getting popped, until there's toe meeting leather, until there's helmets hitting helmets and shoulder pads hitting shoulder pads. I'm not going to talk about the transfer portal anymore. I'll talk about when I see the offense. What the new look Garrett Riley offense looks like. Maybe there's a couple of wrinkles in the offense that weren't there last year that helped Cade Klubnik have a little more room to operate. I'll talk about Phil Maffa, the first time that we see him in full gear go pop some pads as RB1, and what I think having him as, frankly, probably a better running back than Will Shipley means for the Garrett Riley offense this year. I'll talk about the defense when I start seeing them do more than 7v7 skelly drills against Cade Klubnik. Sure, I'll talk about all those things when they happen, but between here and there, I feel like any further speculation on what Clemson is going to be is kind of pointless. It's kind of fruitless. There's kind of no reason to get into it because the majority of people are doing what everybody's doing right now. That is, they are looking at the philosophy of Dabo Swinney. They're looking at his failure to use the transfer portal. They're looking at missing on a couple of back-to-back top-notch quarterbacks that just haven't panned out. And they're saying that is all an indictment on this football team, and that is why this football team will fail. Or they're saying, trust my guy. He's won 2 natties. He went to 6 straight playoffs. He can do no wrong, and that is why he will succeed. And the answer is, I don't know which one is true. So the next time we actually get tape of players playing, I'll talk about it then, and not until.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, it's time to check in and see what is Xing, yo. And Rob will tell us why it is Xing. The first thing that is Xing is Tony Khan.
So AEW's Double or Nothing took place Sunday evening on pay-per-view. And there's a lot that we could talk about. If that's the only AEW thing that is trending right now, I will be shocked. Is it?
It's one of the funniest ones.
Oh, for sure. Because there was a Tony Khan appearance for like a half a second as Jack Perry dragged him onto the stage, threw him across it like he was Kyle Busch's trailer man after the fight with Ricky Spinhouse. And then Tony Khan just kind of like disappeared into the abyss.
So you haven't seen the video of him rolling down the ramp?
I have not.
Right before the fire incident happened. So he is slung down the ramp, and it's not graceful. I think Princess Bride rolling down the hill.
As you
Yeah, that was graceful compared to this. It was ugly. And then he like crawls off beside the ramp afterwards. It's you got to watch it. It's a lot of fun to watch.
I'm happy with Tony Khan to be involved with the product. I'm happy to have him care. I still think he needs to probably hand some of the reins over to some folks that have been better at booking over the years. What I will not question is his commitment to the bit, but there is a reason that Tony Khan pays athletes and is not one.
Yeah, well, I mean, he plays a nerd well because that's what he is. But in this case, it's ugly. It really is.
If you took that bump, could you sell it better today, right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So could you? So could Justin. So could anybody that's watching right now. It's pretty bad. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Buckets. I actually hilariously have not seen Jimmy Butler trending today. I am going to assume that he said something hilarious regarding the fact that the Miami Heat, if he was healthy and he could have gone, could have beaten the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. He shows up on the Bad Boys Ride or Die trailer.
Can I tell you how weird of a conflicted spot I'm in with that movie? Because on one hand, I have loved the Bad Boys movies. I adore the Bad Boys movies. On the flip side, Will Smith lost his damn mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey!
You see, you talk about that, but Martin Lawrence has went a little crazy a couple times.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
like,
no, crazy. Not, I'm going to smack you for talking about my wife. I'm talking about crazy. Oh my gosh, he might need to go be committed for a while.
I don't know what Martin Lawrence did. I'm not saying he did. I don't know what he did though. What did he did?
You'll have to look it up after the show. We don't have time, but he
in July 95, or that's in 1995,
Yeah,
that's
but-
in 1996, that's in 97, that's in 97, and that's in 99. All the things on his Wikipedia page. The last issue he had was in the last millennium.
Okay. All right. So they've learned how to hide it, or he got better. I don't know which, but anyway, he's in the trailer on a Sports Center thing. I couldn't hear it, but that's why he's trending. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is trending because people have just found out that if you put Jägermeister in it, it's delightful.
Well, it's one of those things that's trending because you don't, it's trending. And I believe it's trending because it's the nectar of the gods. That's my own opinion. And a lot of people share it, but that's reason why I think it's trending.
You and I both big Dr. Pepper guys. And I will tell you right now that as far as the zero sugar colas go, Dr. Pepper is the truest to the original taste. It's not Spot. It's not perfect.
Yeah, it's not. It's still good.
I would say Sprite Zero and Dr. Pepper Zero are really the only two that like maintain the integrity of the original drink.
By the way, last thing that's trending is Canada Dry.
Oh, Canada.
No, not that. It's what's the best ginger ale? And for some reason, Canada Dry is trending.
That is the correct answer, by the way.
So it's not Verner's?
No.
I don't like ginger ale, so I don't know.
I love ginger ale. And I will tell you that as far as the what to drink when your tummy is upset rules, your mom was wrong. It's not Sprite. It's ginger ale. Trust me on this ginger. But what you do is you shave a little actual ginger into it.
You ought to try shotgunning a ginger ale. Your head will explode. It's amazing.
I don't know how to add to that. So instead, we will simply say goodbye. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Tell your friends about us if you enjoy the show because we're just going to the moon, baby. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate later. Yeah! Dr. Pepper coconut sucks?
Yeah, I've seen it. It does not look good.
The only reason I would have a Dr. Pepper coconut is to pour a white rum into it. I would try it with a white rum.
So this is the one that matters the most.
I would not try it with a dark rum. I don't. Well, maybe I would. I might try it with a little like.
Yes.
Like a
So
little
I'm looking.
Captain
I mean, you can
Gold,
look there,
maybe?
but I'm looking over here.
Okay, sorry.
No, they're both the same actually. It's
Okay.
just one's taller. That's all. All right.
Just trying to
So
make sure I'm looking at it.
so
Might
this
try
will be 5608, 5707, 5721, 5821, 5836, 5846, 5851.
You're welcome. I'm not gonna
So
lie,
we need
Steven, I can't
a minute.
I can't betray the brand. I am
Yeah,
a
we'll get
Barks
us
boy
59,
through
51.
and through.
Actually, 5952. and then we're gonna
Barks
do-
root beer is the
Okay,
best root beer, and to
77.
me, like it's not even a fight anymore. Anyone trying to pimp mugs or
my
A&W
I want to
over
stand back
Barks,
to my-
I
my-
I can't agree with you. Barks root beer
Listen,
is.
I get it. All right, so I
It.
put in a
That's it.
4-second, and we'll see. There are also half.
All right, we're going to
seconds.
take off because Lonzo
can't-
and Justin are working over there. Y'all have a lovely day. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. You're all spectacular people. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
Bye. there are half seconds that